Good evening. I'd like to call this public hearing agenda meeting of Monday, April 13th, 2026 to order. Caroline, would you please call roll?
Mr. Mishniak.
Here.
Mr. Lampa.
Here.
Ms. Glenn.
Here.
Mr. Lombardo.
Here.
Ms. Wagner.
Here.
Mr. Ring. And Mr. Hannon.
Here. I'll make a motion to excuse Mr. Ring.
Second.
A motion and a second to excuse Mr. Ring. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I'm hearing none. Mr. Ring is excused. Mr. Mishniak, would you lead us in invocation, and Mr. Mayor, the pledge, please?
Bow your heads, please. Dear Lord, grant us the wisdom and help us to always act in the best interest of the citizens of the city of Streetsboro. Grant us a sense of cooperation and respect for each other's opinions so that in the end we reach consensus that is always the benefit of the city. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Item 4, T7977 sign code update. Is there any discussion on item 4? Okay. If there's no discussion, then item 5 is adjournment.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we are adjourned from public hearing.
Ready, Caroline?
Sure.
I'd like to call this safety committee meeting of Monday, April 13th, 2026 to order. Can you please call roll?
Mr. Mishniak.
Here.
Mr. Lampa.
Here.
Ms. Glenn.
Here.
Mr. Lombardo.
Here.
Ms. Wagner. Here. Mr. Ring. Mr. Hannon.
Motion to excuse Mr. Ring.
Second.
I have a first and a second to excuse Mr. Ring. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, he is excused. Item 3, disposition of minutes. We have the regular safety committee meetings of November 10th, 2025 and December 8th, 2025.
Motion to adopt as written.
Second.
First and a second to adopt as written. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, those are adopted. Item 4, old business. There is no old business. Item 5, before we go into new business, I would entertain a motion to add item DT7979, purchase police vehicles.
So moved.
Second.
A first and a second to add that agenda item. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the item has been added to our agenda. And item A, T7968, adopt city's emergency operations procedures plan. Chief Reinholds and Captain Grimm.
Thank you, Mr. Hanna. This is a comprehensive emergency operations procedure plan, which Captain Grimm's been working on for quite a while. He's done a fabulous job organizing. As a matter of fact, whenever we have a major event going on, he usually prepares an emergency plan. Bad weather, things, contingency plans, things that can possibly happen. He's very proactive in trying to come up with solutions, which we review. So he put together this plan, and he sent it out to the council, mayor, for everybody to review. So that, you have plenty of time to look it over. And if you have any questions, I have Mr. Grimm in the audience, who's the expert that can answer any of the questions that you might have.
Perfect. Any questions? Mr. Grimm, you want to be the first one to step up to our new podium? I don't know if there's a microphone there, but
There is one, you have to pick it up. There you go.
There you go.
Any questions?
Mr. Lampa.
I just want to say very nice job. I read through the whole thing, and I appreciate you doing that.
Thank you. And it wasn't just myself working on it. It was sent to all the department heads that where it's applicable. They all had some input on it, and also some guidance from Portage County Emergency Management. So this is just kind of our guiding document when those big things happen.
Any other questions?
If I,
Thank you, Mr. Grimm.
if I could just add, this is a comprehensive plan. If something goes wrong, something, catastrophe, all the department heads, all the directors have a role to play, and it's spelled out here. And Captain Grimm made sure he got input from all the directors, so that if we'd have to meet, what do we do now? Well, this kind of spells it out, different options, so we're not just caught with our pants down, literally, that we don't know what to do. So what we'd like to do in the future is actually have a disaster plan or a tabletop, just the practice. I know we're involved with the county EMA, and Captain Grimm has a very close relationship with the EMA. He assists them many times, and he's got that experience and expertise. We've done tabletops with like Mopar and other organizations, just the what-ifs in case something does happen. So we're familiar with it. So that's our future plans, now that we've adopted it, or hopefully we adopt it, which I think we will. And we can now go to the next step and do some dress rehearsals in the future.
Now, if something comes up in future where you need to change something, is that something that has to come back to city council, or is this like an internal document where?
It's according to the policy, it has to be reviewed annually. So it isn't something that just sits on the shelf and then, 5 years later, it's specified in, and I already marked it on my calendar for 2026 in November, that, we have to get together and review it. Has anything changed? If so, then we have to, adopt that and make sure everybody's approved and then go from there. So it's a living plan. It isn't something we just put on the shelf and then forget about it.
Any other questions?
If there's no further questions, I'll make a motion to move this to tonight's full council.
Second.
First and a second to move this item. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the item has moved. Item B, T7969, purchase new fire department command car. Chief Reinholtz.
Thank you. Presently, we have what we call our command car. The officer in charge of the OIC, that's what he's in. And it's important when we arrive in an emergency scene that we establish quote-unquote command, where one person can actually run the incident and get the information from the various people. So there's one voice, one person in charge, one direction deciding on what the strategy is, offense, defensive, or what needs to be done. And there's resources in there besides the laptop and hard copy books to reference certain things. Like today, we had an incident, a minor little fire in an industrial park. And command was set up. We had mutual aid companies coming in. People need direction as to what needs to be done. And the primary purpose of the command, incident commander, is accountability and safety of everybody on the fire scene. Making sure the place has been searched, evacuated, and also what the safety is amongst the person operating on the fire ground. So we instituted the incident command system with a car, a vehicle, about 12 years ago. And this was the first command vehicle. It's a 2014 Tahoe, and it's rusting out. We got the roof leaks, the side running boards, the brackets are rusted. You can't really put your foot on it, or else it's going to fall through. So what I'm asking for is to replace it with a state bid for expedition. You see the attachment on there with a dollar amount, and it's been budgeted in this year's budget in the 402.12.5742 to actually buy this vehicle and then actually set it up. I have two of the officers on the committee going to what we call FDIC, Fire Department Instructor Conference in Indianapolis, end of this month. The primary purpose is to go there and check out the vendors, check out what's the best options for us to actually build this car up, the back part of it. And then there's money in the budget to actually purchase it, make sure it's striped, painted, and everything else. So this is the first step, is actually purchase it, and wait in the 60 to 90 days with delivery, and then go from there. So I'm asking the Safety Committee to pass it on to council tonight for approval.
Mr. Lombardo.
Thank you, Mr. Hannon. Chief, I noticed that the total was $55,589. In the budget, I think you had $105,000 as remaining money to outfit it.
It's
Okay.
actually like $108,000.
Yeah,
So,
okay.
the cost
Just making
is, for the emergency lighting, the radios, and everything else.
All right, thank you.
When do you anticipate that coming back to us to have it all set up?
Well, they'll be going to be going to FDIC end of the month to get some ideas. Tomorrow I'll order the vehicle if we get approval and put through the PO process and everything else by the end of the week. And they're down 60 to 90 days, which I find hard to believe. The last time, talking to Chief Wayne, we waited, both of us ordering cars, we had to change different vendors. I spoke to the guy, the salesperson, and this is what he told me. I go, okay, fine. So I'm hoping 3 months we'll get it, then outfit it, the lighting, that's going to be, sometimes takes time, back burner. So by fall, beginning of winter, we'll actually have it on the road. And when we do, I'll bring it over, and you can all take a look at it.
Perfect. Any other, Mr. Lampa?
What do we plan on doing with the old one, junking it?
Oh, no, Mr. Miller, this guy's have miracles. Every vehicle we've had, they've gone over it, got more time and life out of it. So I'll see if another department, if Mr. Miller can use it or whatever, before we actually put it to auction.
Perfect. Too bad the mayor's not looking for a car anymore. Yeah, there you go.
You couldn't even get it in Corvette.
Good. Any other questions?
If there's no further discussion, I'll make a motion to move this to tonight's full council.
Second.
First and a second to move this item. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the item has been moved. Item C, T7970, sell unneeded 2020 E1 fire engine to Brimfield Township. Chief Reinholz.
Thank you. We purchased a brand new fire engine, and we had this one, it's 2020, and we went on the market trying to sell it, and we've reduced the price 4 or 5 times already, and nobody wants to buy it. So I was approached by the Brimfield fire chief. They were aware of it because some of our part-timers work there full-time. They know our mechanic, Brock, who takes excellent care of all our equipment. And it's an excellent piece of equipment. I just don't have the need for it, and it's just going to sit there, and it's going to deteriorate. So they approached me, and they came up and said, we'd like to buy it. And I said, okay. And I said, I hear you ask 35. I go, no, I'm asking 40. And he goes, well, and then he told me a story where the city's in dire straits. They had a mishap with funding. They're missing money, big money, and they don't have money. So he asked if they can have 30,000. I go, well, I'll run it by the mayor. So I talked to the mayor. He says, well, counter offer with 35. I go, Mayor, they don't have any money. And then he was kind of said, well, you know what? It's staying in the county. They're in dire needs. The engine they're using now is older than this and less reliable. So we'd actually be doing them a big favor by selling it to them for $30,000.
Chief, I just had a real quick question. This is a 2020 E1, but it says in the note you wrote us that it's 26 years old. Is that the correct?
Yeah, it's a 2020. I have down 20. It's a 2000. It's a 2000.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry. I put a 2020 E1. It's a 2000 E1, making it 26 years old.
Okay. Yeah, because everything that we got says 2020.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's 20. It's 2000.
2000. Okay.
It's 26 years old.
Perfect. What? I'll entertain a motion to change 2020 to 2000.
Second.
I've first and a second to make that amendment. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That amendment has been made. Sorry to interrupt you, Chief, on that. I saw some people kind of, yeah, so.
I don't know what I was thinking when I was typing that. I'm sorry.
You're good.
So as I spoke to him, now all of a sudden I'm getting calls, emails, wanting to know if it's still for sale.
Yeah.
That's all. Well, where were you? So, they're going to turn around stuff for 50. But I better know.
Yeah, right.
So I feel good. We're actually helping another community out in dire need, and with that money, I bought some new extrication equipment.
It's already onto something.
Yes, that's another topic for another night.
Any other discussion on this item?
If there's no further discussion, I'll make a motion to move this to tonight's full council as amended.
First and second to move this item as amended. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the item has been moved. All right, item D, T7979, purchase police vehicles. Chief Wayne?
First, thank you for adding this last minute. Had some problems with some of my emails not going out when I sent them. I think I shut my computer down a little too fast before I left in March. So Caroline was nice enough, as well as Joe, to add things on for me at last minute. We recently had some concerns about maybe some of the police vehicles that we thought would be easily accessed this year might not be as easy to get later on this year. So what we're looking to do is get on for emergency legislation tonight so we can get these cars ordered. There'll be 3 Dodge Durangos. I'm asking for $188,000. The price currently is sitting at $186,009. I just want to give us a little bit of flex room for a not to exceed $188, just in case we find out we're missing a part or something doesn't transfer over as easy from some of the older cars to the newer ones. This will allow us to bump up our fleet by 1 in anticipation of the new officers that we should be, cross our fingers, onboarding sometime the beginning of the summer. And then if we do get the authorization for additional, we'll have enough cars for everybody. It was budgeted. We did have one unexpected expense, which is why you see most of it coming out of capital cruisers and then the additional coming out of tow ad.
Chief. In the legislation, it says not to exceed 188, but on the paper you gave us, it says not to exceed 187. Not that it's a huge expense, but
Yeah, just the typo on the 187. It could have been 187. The legislation went with 188. I did the 8.
okay.
Yeah, I did the numbers down at the bottom of the first page. Instead of doing 6,000 from tow admin, I put in 7. So 188 is fine. Like I said, it just gives us a little bit of flex room. Should there be some parts or anything like that we don't anticipate at this point. It should be the 186.
The other question I had too, and I see that you put it in here that like our equipment kind of fits into the Durangos, but that's the model of the car that we've been going with, right? Is the Durango? Everything.
Dodge Durangos have been the last couple years. We had the Tahoes were the last ones that were kind of the outliers, and that was back when the supply chain issues were insane. The Tahoes were kind of a last minute. They were on the ground. We could get them. The Fords had caused us a lot of problems the previous year, and the Durangos are what we anticipated going to. They're not quite as big as the Tahoes, a little bit better on gas mileage, a little bit better on the trip radius. Trying to get consistent with the fleet as long as things stay the way that they are and the Dodge remain as reliable as they are, we'll stick with those for the foreseeable future.
Mr. Lombardo.
Thank you, Mr. Hannon. Chief Wayne, are these for the 2026 purchases? You normally do 3 a year. Is that for this year?
Yeah, that's okay.
All right.
Any other questions? I just had another question in here. You put this is for the increase of our fleet, for the eventual addition of up to 4 officers for this year. Is that something that's starting this year, later this year?
We're in the process right now of adding 2.
Okay.
There's been some maybe talk. We definitely need to add an additional cruiser anyway. As it always happens with Murphy's Law, when something goes wrong with one, something goes wrong with multiple. And we've had a couple days here and there where we haven't had enough cars for everybody that we've had working, just because mechanics issues, the light goes out, siren goes out.
It's definitely nice to be prepared for that too, if we do add another officer or 2 to have a vehicle. Any other questions from City Council before we move on.
If there's no further discussion, I'll make a motion to move this to tonight's full council.
Second.
A first and a second to move this item. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that item has been moved. Item 6, citizens' comments. I will say, we do have some students in the audience. Generally, we just make a quick statement at the beginning, so we have a couple different committee meetings. Right now, we're in our safety committee meeting. We'll go into a service committee meeting, a special finance meeting. So those are just kind of the meetings that we discuss all these different items that were presented to us tonight, and then later tonight we will go into our full council meeting, which is where city council will take official action to pass items. During our special finance meeting, we will be going into an executive session, so we will walk out of the room. You guys are welcome to stay till the end or come up and ask any questions if you have any. Any citizens' comments before we move on? No. All right. Item 7, announcements. A service committee meeting will immediately follow this meeting.
Motion to adjourn?
First and a second to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned.
I'd like to call this service committee meeting of Monday, April 13th, 2026 to order. Caroline, can you please call roll?
Mr. Mishniak? Here. Mr. Lampa?
Here.
Ms. Glenn?
Here.
Mr. Lombardo?
Here.
Ms. Wagner? Here. Mr. Ring? Mr. Hannon?
Here.
Motion to excuse Mr. Ring?
Second.
First and a second to excuse Mr. Ring. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, Mr. Ring is excused. Item 3, disposition of minutes. Special Service Committee meeting of December 29th, 2025, regular Service Committee meeting of February 9th, 2026, and regular Service Committee meeting of March 9th, 2026.
Second.
First and a second to accept and dispose of the minutes. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, minutes have been accepted. Item 4, old business. Item A, T 7977 sign code update. Mr. Jaskowski.
Thank you, Mrs. Glenn. I would like to introduce to council Wendy Moeller of Compass Point Planning. The city contracted with Wendy to complete our sign code update, and as I had referenced a couple of meetings ago, as part of our contract, she was to complete a presentation to council prior to adoption of the code update. So she is here this evening to provide a general overview of the update, hit some of the high-level policy issues. I have, in working with Wendy through this project, I know that she has completed sign code updates for communities throughout the country. I've seen her, speak at probably 10 different planning and zoning workshops on signage, and wanted to remind council that she also last year completed training for our Board of Zoning Appeals and Planning Commission. So I have known Wendy for a very long time, have enjoyed working with her on this project. And Matt, do you have the clicker by chance? Okay.
The clicker is MIA, so if you can just point to me when you want me to switch to the slide, I will switch for you. I apologize.
There's a lot of slides, so we're good.
Sorry about that, Wendy.
Hello? Oh, there we go. Okay. Thank you for having me. Thank you. That's a very compliment. I always feel good. So this has been going on. We've been working on this for a little over a year now, and part of that is it's important, but you have a lot of other critical things going on. And so we've been, kind of going back and forth. We've worked with enforcement. We've worked with staff. We've had various meetings with Planning Commission and City Council to kind of talk about what some of the issues are. So as John said, I'm really here to kind of give you the high level, like what did we actually do and why did we do it? And I need to start this off with part of this is, and I know it says 2015, but A lot of communities are still working through their updates. But in 2015, there was a Supreme Court case that kind of threw a loop for everybody's sign code. In the Reed versus Town of Gilbert, kind of said you really can't define a sign by its message and regulate it differently, which meant things like real estate signs, where we have special rules for real estate signs versus election signs versus contractor signs. The only way you know it's a real estate sign is if you read it, and if you're making a special rule for it based on a message, that's a problem. So we had to look at things a little bit differently and start to focus more on what's the sign height, what's the sign location, what's the sign area. That's great for permanent signs. Permanent signs are what they are. It's a little trickier when we got to the temporary signs. So that was one reason, go ahead to the next slide, that we did it. But again, it comes down to, we generally, and I say generally, because there's other court cases now that we're dealing with, that you generally shouldn't have to read the sign to regulate it. That's really what it comes down to. We call it content neutrality. Next slide. So what it didn't do, and you can kind of click, I didn't realize there's keep going, all these little things. What it didn't do was define what a sign is, and that seems like a simple thing, but it's not. For anybody who's been to our previous meetings, you know, people think that flags are not, but they are. Commercial signs, people signs, all of this fun stuff, they are signs, they're advertising. There's only so much we can do to try to kind of rein this in to be a reasonable amount of regulations without going down a rabbit hole. And we went down rabbit holes of, is this a sign? What should we do about it? Next slide. However, in 2022, we got a little bit of clarity with another Supreme Court case that said, well, you can kind of look at the sign. And they let us do on-premise, off-premise. So you kind of have to read the message. But we are allowed, cities are allowed to make that distinction, which is very helpful. It was a billboard case, and that's what most people think of as far as billboards. But it also is a temporary sign issue because people, when you put your community event sign out in front of your house, that's off-premise. However, even with this, we have dealt with the billboards and not, you know, we can very easily not allow them without this provision. So next slide. So let's get to Streetsboro. A lot of this was cleanup and reorganization and just making things make more sense, a lot more graphics. Staff had me add an image of every sign type, so there was no question of what a post and arm sign is, what a monument sign is. All of the regulations were moved into Chapter 1159, which is why in the draft language, and I haven't seen the finalized ordinance, there are references to changes in other sections of the zoning code where there were sign regulations that were removed and moved into this one chapter. So if you want to know where signs are allowed, you go here. One of the initial biggest changes we made is signs are now going to be administratively approved by staff, whereas some of them, particularly the permanent ones, were previously or currently going to Planning Commission. But in talking with Planning Commission and talking with staff, it ultimately really comes down to, is it meet the sign area? Does it meet the sign height, location? Yes? Okay. Planning Commission could subtly see signs when somebody comes in with a new site plan. They may show the signage, and you know they can take that in as part of the larger, like, is it in landscaping, or like where is the landscaping and how its landscaping is. But if somebody's just coming in for a sign permit, they'll go straight to staff.
I have a question real quick.
Yes.
I just want to make sure if that was a typo or not, because that bullet point says signs will not be administered.
Oh, I'm sorry, that is a typo.
Okay, so they will be administered.
They will be.
Okay.
Yes, yes. Thank you for catching that. No, yeah. So they were not. They will no longer go to Planning Commission for approval. The other part of this was just trying to give more clarity, but also providing a little bit of flexibility, and I'll talk about that later when it comes to building signs. Next slide. So again, to be content neutral, we focused on the sign structure. We focused on how big it can be, where it can be located, how tall it can be. One of the biggest things, we had a lot of discussions with Andre to keep the zoning enforcement in check, because we didn't really want to write something that couldn't be easily enforced. And so there was a lot of that. The other thing we kept in mind is trying to minimize, if anything, I think we've lessened the number of nonconformities, but we did not want to, for example, a conversation I was having earlier where you allow 40 square foot freestanding signs now, we didn't want to reduce that because now anybody who's got something, 40 square feet would be nonconforming. So we tried to keep in mind what you're allowing now and to continue that. Next slide. So permanent signs in the residential district. Again, permanent signs, very easy. They're structures. So we don't really worry about the message. Permanent signs are going to largely remain the same. Small subdivisions now, we gave a threshold. If you're under 25 units or 25 lots, you can have a smaller, like freestanding sign. We also allow for signs that could be on, like, we call them wall signs, but they could be on decorative fences at the entrance, so it's not always a freestanding sign. The larger ones can have what you have now, which is 40 square feet, although I don't think a lot of people go to that large of a sign, but that's what you allow now. We also clarified that conditional uses in the residential districts, schools, churches, parks, anything like that, would be allowed to have a certain type of signage that is the equivalent of your lesser, like, business district. So we kept those and made sure that they could have wall signs. Schools have wall signs, churches have wall signs, and such. Then we get into the permanent signs in the non-residential districts. So freestanding signs remain the same, but we did modify it, again, giving more flexibility to allow people to opt for monument or post and panel signs, like something like this. Electronic message centers, so the digital sign regulations you have now remain the same. They're fairly limited where they can be. We've not changed that. Driveway signs, which were once what you regulated as directional signage, continue to be allowed. They're just little signs at the driveway that could have arrows, drive-through, whatever it may be. One of the changes we did do is in the I-1 district, we allow slightly taller and slightly larger ones because trucks are going to be looking at them. Next slide. It's a lot of language, I understand. So I think one of the biggest changes we made, and again, trying to be clear and flexible, is right now, each business can have one wall sign, up to 2 square feet per lineal foot of facade width, and there's no limit. The proposed draft changes that. Now we're saying you can have any number of signs as long as you don't go over the maximum amount allowed, and it's located on that facade. But instead of saying it's got to be a wall sign, which is the kind that are flat to the surface, they can opt to spread it through wall signs, projecting signs, canopy signs, or awning signs. So whoever the business is can decide how their building signs are going to be attached. None of them are allowed in the right-of-way. It's not like a downtown or something like that. But we wanted, again, we're giving the flexibility, but it's still limited in amount. The other thing we did is we kept the 2 square foot allowance, and we capped it at 400 square feet. But that is for the primary facade. And if you have read through the regulations, you'll see we have a very clear definition of what a primary facade is. The other thing we did is allow for a secondary facade, so corner lots. If you've got a lot that maybe the parking is partially in the back or something like that, or if your side of your building could be visible, you can have a little bit of signage. Again, we capped it at 75 square foot, which addresses a lot of situations that the city was seeing a lot of variances for. In the I-1 district, we actually want it based on a percentage of the facade, 5% for certain and 2.5% for other, because again, they usually have much larger building space, and from a percentage-wise, it made more sense to look at it that way. Next.
A quick question, Ken.
Yes.
I know you're trying to get through this, but just a real quick question before I forget on that. Can you just clarify so you can't have more than 400 square foot of a sign, but you can have as many signs as you want within that. So like if I'm looking at this wall behind us, like if I put a little sign up over there,
Mm-hmm.
like you can have like multiple. Is that kind of what?
Yes. So the example that I always give was Kroger's. Well, sometimes they'll have a Starbucks or a Fifth Third Bank sign. car dealers who often have their different, whichever car types they're selling, so they can have separate ones, but the total of all of them aggregated cannot exceed the 400 square feet. And that's if you would have a very long building width.
So John, like
So a smaller building like,
I was gonna use Giant Eagle as the example that has a Huntington Bank in it and,
Pharmacy sign.
yeah, the liquor control agency, all of those would be permitted by right instead of having to come through and get a variance for anything more than the one sign that's permitted by right now.
but then, yeah, with smaller signs or with smaller buildings, like I think the Raising Cane's, we had conversations and stuff like that, or the Aldi and stuff, it's obviously going to be much smaller, but they could, again, have 2 signs. We have a provision in there, though, that says, listen, if you were looking here, if the screen was one big sign and the clock was another one,
Yeah.
because they're so close to each other, it would be considered one sign area. Versus if that clock was 2 or 3 feet away, it would be calculated separately.
Is there any reason behind not having a number? Like, you know, if you're using Giant Eagle as an example, like I get
A maximum number of
yeah,
signs.
like 4 signs, because they generally have, you know, their sign, their pharmacy sign, their whatever bank or Starbucks is inside of it. Is there any reason why there wasn't a maximum put in?
Honestly, it was more of a flexibility thing. We wanted to allow and figured that the ratio of 2 linear feet or of 2 square feet per linear foot of building width, the area would limit itself.
Does that same thing apply to like the Square Plaza? It's one building, but it has.
It's based on, so in that case, you would take the measurement of each separate building unit.
Okay, not the entire.
No.
Right, and so John, the maximum of 400 square feet really only comes into play for the larger, very wide buildings like your Target, your Biggies, your Giant Eagle, Lowe's.
Okay.
We didn't want to leave that open-ended and keep the ratio in play. We wanted to put a high-end barrier of the 400 square feet, but not limit the number of signs. Because if I look at like the Walmart, that's probably got 20 signs on it.
Yeah.
Between the car care area and each one of the numbers above the bays, we had to go through a variance process anytime they wanted to change any of their wall signage. And now that's the largest building in the city from a width perspective, but that's why we structured it the way that we did.
Well, and I think we also had a conversation that, because this is, you know, again, one of the rabbit holes, you know, you can limit the number, but with the one sign right now, the tendency would be, we're going to go as big as we can versus giving them the opportunity to do more. They might spread it out under smaller signs, so.
On temporary signage, political signs, I've always had people ask me, hey, they can't do that inside HOAs. And HOAs have their own rules and their own set of rules. I kind of came to the law department and said, look, it's confusing for the residents who live there who aren't into politics or government or the law to understand why they can't put up a I'm for the school levy sign or I'm against the school levy sign without getting a letter from an HOA attorney saying you're going to get fined $200 a day if you leave that up. I wanted to just pass some city ordinance that said no HOA shall have signs that are not in concurrence with the city signs, meaning the city rules within the HOA in regards to political signage, time, place, and manner restrictions. I was told that might have some legal issues. It might not be a good idea. And then I thought, okay, how does government often get around those restrictions? They get around the restrictions through the taxing power, right? The taxing power is almost unlimited. Could we either, one, put a law that says no HOA shall put in prohibitions that prevent political signage that's consistent with the city ordinance on temporary political signage, so that residents could put up a sign that said, I'm for the school levy, or I'm not for the school levy, without fear of being fined $200 a day. And my thought was, if you can't just outright pass an ordinance like that, why couldn't we pass a tax on any HOA that has a restriction that restricts political speech or prohibits it to whatever would make sense if it was challenged, $200 per unit inside the HOA. So if you have 100 houses, you'll have to pay a yearly tax of $200 a home to maintain that prohibition. As a deterrent to say, hey, drop your prohibition signs, let the city sign ordinance be equal across the city so that when somebody calls his office and says, hey, somebody ripped my sign down, and like, oh, you in an HOA, they can do that. And I know there are state regulations on HOAs and what they can do too. So a lot there, but.
Well, let me, and I think I can respond to you on a couple things, because I think there's a bigger consideration that's outside. You wouldn't, what some of the stuff you're talking about would not be embedded in the sign code. It's a larger, separate ordinance. Let me start by explaining the challenges with temporary signs, because this is where, to your point, political signage, real estate signage, this is where most content-based regulation is found, right? And in having conversations, you know, through this process about like where we want to stand, this is one because there have been previous court cases prior to that Reed case that said you could make a distinction between a non-commercial sign, which is political, but it's also religious, it's opinion. I love Streetsboro, you know, all that kind of stuff. You could make a distinction between that and commercial signs, so real estate, contractor, all that stuff. Now hiring, as long as the non-commercial signage was treated equally or better, meaning you could have equal to or more non-commercial speech, right? We say treating that with the kind of white gloves. So and I would say if you were to ever proceed with something, the only thing I think I would advise is that you would treat it as it's non-commercial, so that the HOA would, you know, be able to deal with not just election signs. Because once you start saying you can only, this is how we're going to deal with political signs versus any other type of non-commercial, you're going to be in trouble. I will tell you, having also written a lot of.
Wait, I want to stop. Yeah. As a governmental entity, you're in trouble, or as a
governmental entity, because you,
right,
the government, are regulating speech.
You can have time, place, and manner restrictions, but an HOA can, in reality, wipe out the city's entire ordinance on signs in their little fiefdom and say your laws don't matter in our city because we said it.
I did do some research on this, actually.
Yeah.
And after we talked, I looked into this issue, and from my interpretation of the case law, those type of changes would have to come from within the HOA residents themselves, challenging their HOA board to say, I should be allowed to do this. It's not for us because they have a freedom to contract with the HOA. It would be almost equivalent to us saying, hey, HOA, we are saying that you have to have white fences. We don't want anything else. It's a similar type of thing. And then your other idea, which is a totally different idea, maybe it's possible, but
just to deter them from having it.
I understand. I haven't researched that, but the first question they proposed, I did look into, and my research concluded that that challenge would have to come from an HOA member who contracted with that HOA to say, I should be allowed to do that.
I don't want to get into whether they can or can't. What I want to say is the city decides what its sign ordinance are, and those rules are uniform in John's neighborhood, Mary Ann's neighborhood, Jennifer's neighborhood, and a private entity shouldn't be allowed to come in and, in effect, prohibit our rules if they eliminate them. I think everyone in this room agrees. They couldn't put up a sign ordinance in the HOA that says you're allowed to have a 25-foot by 40-foot sign because the HOA said you can. He would be in there in a heartbeat, you know, filing against them. But why can they prohibit the city from enforcing, to the benefit of the residents' right to free speech?
Because the HOA can restrict more than what the city is, but the city, if like the HOA were to say we want to allow bigger signs, that's when the city can say, no. But I will.
Why can they say then we want to allow no signs? What's the difference between we're going to allow bigger signs?
Because it can be more restrictive.
We're going to allow no signs.
Yeah. Well, and the only other way I've seen communities deal with this, again, not with the current HOAs, but with prospective ones down the line, is as part of subdivision review. You evaluate any private covenants, and that's one of the things, because there are other things that communities, HOAs regulate, that are related to zoning. You mentioned white fences and stuff like that. If they have the right to say we're going to have a uniform look, and so we want all white fences, and it's all gonna be white picket fences and stuff like that, where the city is saying, we don't regulate that, so the city, they can have more restrictive anything.
But I'm just thinking, if we're not gonna, I think we can do that, because I don't think it's gonna be worth them fighting the fight. Nobody wants to fight the fight. I know for sure we can tax it.
Well,
Then you find out how much is it worth to them. $200 a house to have this prohibition in place, and they'll drop the prohibition because their budget's 10, 12 grand a year or whatever it is, so.
I think my point is, any of that kind of change would take place outside of this sign ordinance. If you land on the sign ordinance and say, this is what our ordinance is, any action that you are talking about would be through some separate other legislation.
Yeah, I can't envision a rule that an HOA could make up to eliminate further citizen rights that conflicts with ours that would fit.
Just to play devil's advocate, and
That's what you're here for.
yeah, is they're voluntarily agreeing to buy a home in an HOA, and they are seeing that agreement, they are signing it. It's contractual, so they have that freedom to enter that.
But their contract can't say the signs can be bigger. But their contract can say their signs can be smaller. That makes zero sense to me. They can't step on the toes of the city by expanding the size of the signs that you all took all this time to develop and say, thanks for all your work, but in Stonegate, you're allowed to have a 20-foot by 40-foot billboard in your front yard. You'd be like, no, you can't, because we're the city. But the minute they say the only signs we're going to allow in our HOA, because we contracted for it and it's in our covenants, is a sign that's 1 inch square. And we all look at them and say, well, that's fine, because it's more restrictive. And I don't think it makes sense. I think you either have the power to change the city sign ordinance, or you don't have the power as an HOA. And I don't think courts have wrapped their heads around it yet, and I think the easiest way around it is just tax them. That's normally how the problem's solved, because nobody's going to, they're going to go to a meeting and say, yeah, let's put political signs. There's signs in our neighborhood now that say for and against the school levy, and it's selectively not being enforced because, it's too touchy. But then you put up a sign like you have there, I think that's Glenn's yard, the top right. You have a sign like that, and somebody on the board's gonna send you a $200 a day bill, right? And I think as a city, we need to flex a little bit on our HOAs and say, we have the final decision as a city. We pay people that are professionals to come up with a sign ordinance. Don't tell us our sign ordinance is garbage and make up your own rules. I think we set the rules. But that's all I have. It's just kind of.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, that's a separate discussion. That's separate legislation, whether tax.
I say we take them on and say, the city law is the city law. You don't get to say anything about signs in an HOA. That's just my thoughts.
Well, and so just, kind of taking it from there. So what the direction we have in this is, from the city's perspective, keep anything non-commercial out of the right-of-way, keep it under 18 square feet. Yard signs, you can have window signs and banner signs. And we are more restrictive on commercial signs. So, in a residential lot, you could have up to 2 small commercial. So you might have a real estate sign and a garage sale sign at the same time, or a garage sale and a community event sign, or anything like that. What we have found over the course of many years of watching this go through similar things is most people self-regulate. So there's no longer can we have regulations to say signs can only go up 30 days before an election and have to come down 90 days after, because then you're correlating it to election. You have free speech year round. So we have stronger maintenance requirements. So you can't have like flapping signs and everything like that. But what happens, and after every election, I'm always remarkably surprised how fast people usually take their own signs out. So next, yeah, there you go. We are from a commercial, in the commercial districts, there was a lot of discussion about how many temporary signs were out there. So what we tried to do was limit them to 1 per lot, unless you have a very large lot, and then it's 1 per 200 feet of frontage. We've balanced that with trying to encourage more temporary signage that would be up next to the building. So banner signs would be more preferred that are attached to the building over the yard signs. The same with other types of signs. And then we also accommodated the feather signs that are going to be allowed as part of any like temporary uses that would be allowed in a similar fashion as like a sidewalk sign. You can put it up when your temporary use open, and then you take it down. Next.
So with the temporary use, so what's the window on how long is temporary?
It depends. That may be a good question for you because we've talked about a couple like food trucks. It kind of depends on what the use is because usually they'll get a permit for that use that has the time limit on it.
Matt, can you go back to that last slide? Is a feather sign like that? Which one is a feather?
The pizza, bacon, cheese. Yeah.
This one? Okay.
The
So-
one, the single pole that's a little bit taller.
The vape sign.
So those are currently, we don't allow those, right? Because I see like a lot of times on the weekend when no one's here, right? You know, they go up and then Monday morning they're down.
Magic.
So,
They're just
so
way-
like if someone's running a special on a bacon, cheese, pizza, whatever, they can put it,
No.
it's not
It's,
allowed.
it's actually tied to like a true temporary use. Not a
So
temporary-
like a food truck.
So they have to get approved for that.
Yes.
You know, a food truck is an example of a temporary use. A temporary sale is not going to permit you the ability to put a feather sign up.
What's the, so like when someone wants to put that up on a temporary basis, they have to come in and apply for it? So like if we book a food truck on Monday and on Friday they show up, they're gonna be expected to come in and, like what if, you know what I mean, like I guess,
Yeah, no, I mean, it would, right now, we don't permit them at all. So what you would say to the food truck operator is you're allowed to have this, but once your operation is done, take the sign down.
I was just wondering like the process of like, do we really, like, it's kind of like an enforcement nightmare. So like you mentioned, you know, people kind of police themselves unless someone's fully taking advantage of it. Like if a vape shop, like I see them up all the time, if they have it up for 365 days straight, like that's kind of taking advantage of it. But if it's like they put it up on Friday and they take it down on Saturday, they put it up next Friday, you know what I mean? Or like food truck, like if we put up a food truck sign out here on a food truck Friday, take it down the next, you know what I mean? Like I just don't want you to be, you know, your team to be out there chasing these people down with these signs every week. It's like, well, you can have it, but you have to fill out a paper and come to City Hall, or just, you know, police yourself. And if we see, you know, any of us in this room see someone taking advantage of it, like, hey, that pizza sign's been up for 3 weeks, like, let's take it down.
Well, and one of the things I just was pulling up is one of the things we state with regards to, so we have different temporary activities where you can have like additional signage beyond that one little one we said is a yard sign. So with the temporary uses, the food trucks and stuff like that, we actually say that you could get a separate permit for that, like that feather sign, or it could be approved as part of the so if somebody comes in for a food truck and they're saying we're going to operate this weekend or whatever, at the same time they could get approval to have that feather sign. Some of the other ones we have are being triggered by other activities. So one of the things that we wanted to do was the other reason why we allow feather signs is when somebody builds like a new use and they're going to get a new certificate of occupancy because they're going to be operating the use. I gave the example like when my Kroger redid themselves and they reopened. Well, we're allowing, I think it's 7 days after the issuance to have the feather sign. So if somebody has a grand opening and they want to put that out, but it's all tied to some particular permit, they could get it simultaneously. Because the other one we also allow is if a turnkey situation, let's say a business in Market Square comes in and they can operate, but there's already a pre-existing sign from the former business. There's an allowance in here that as part of their occupancy, they can use a banner to temporarily cover that for I think 60 days.
Okay. On that note, you know, would someone be able, like, if, for example, Blasio's, right? You know, they come in one time to City Hall, fill out a paper, and say, hey, on once a month, I want to put this sign up, like kind of like a blanket agreement or a blanket permit. You know, like I want to use this for X amount of days out of the year on certain days, like, you know, Friday's probably a busy day for them. So if they want to put it up on a Friday, take it, you know, and like, or same thing, like kind of like a blanket example for City Hall. You know, the mayor fills out a permit and says, hey, every Friday each month we're having a food truck Friday, but we're going to have a sign out front. You know, that way it's not like super repetitive.
This is an example of like, we spent a lot of time playing these like what if games. And it's very helpful to think through it that way. But one of the things, so the feather sign we talked about is one that is time limited, meaning, you know, it's a temporary use, so only while that temporary use is there is a provision where we say, because real estate signs, especially in multi-tenant things, tend to be up. We call them kind of semi-permanent because they almost are up long-term. So there's a certain amount of commercial signage we are allowing without a time limit, okay? They're limited to a 1 yard sign, like I said, that can be a maximum of 12 square feet. Or you can use the sidewalk sign, again, not technically the public sidewalk, but it can be like on their like sidewalk up next to them. Or we're allowing them a banner sign. And again, the banner sign can be 18 square feet. The banner sign would have to be attached to the building. So in the example where you're saying is, yeah, they could, in theory, change out banner signs for special events and stuff like that, as long as it stays under 18 square feet. There's no certificate required for those kind of, that limited amount of signage. So City Hall, these businesses, and again, we were trying to encourage them to have things that were closer to the building. Banner signs and sidewalk signs. So that kind of situation where once a month they have an event, they would already be able to do it without coming in and getting a permit.
Sorry, thank you. So we're planning this beautiful big gazebo behind us. I'm just using this as information. We plan on having farmers markets and events and food trucks. Is all of that going to have to come through John?
So it depends.
Can we do it every weekend?
So there is a provision, and this is kind of a unique provision. The government, the city, has a certain provision or has certain allowances because you are speaking for the big P public. So you can put in traffic signs and certain signs that are installed for the purpose of public. And that's where you typically see those types of signs, you know, as part of parks and everything like that. But if it was something where, for example, and I think Mayor, you and I may have discussed this, is the food truck option. If you have an event where you invite food trucks to come in, and they want to have a feather sign outside, you know, beyond just their little menu. They could have a little sidewalk sign. You don't have to get a certificate for it. If they want to come and get that feather sign, then they would have to come in and get a certificate. So they would all get, no matter what, without having to go to John, a little bit of signage that they could use without getting a certificate. But if they want certain things, we're saying you could do it, but like let us have a way to check it. And a lot of those food trucks, a lot of those.
Are you going to have them go when we have our food trucks here every week in the summer? Don't we do that anymore? Or?
So, Mike, if I could chime in, you know, stuff that's done here on the oval, that's not visible from the right of way. If it's internal to this site, I'm fine with it, provided that it's there for the temporary use and then gets taken down. Where I start to have issues is when they want to smack a bunch of stuff up right along the road. You know, if everybody knows that this is Food Truck Fridays, and they travel behind the building and here are your food trucks, great. Much less impact than if you allow, I'll say, a flappy flag at every establishment down the line.
What are those?
That actually is a very valid point.
Are they flappy flag? Is that what they're called? I really don't know.
I've always called them flappy flags because I dislike them with a passion.
Like the blower thing?
No,
No,
That guy top right there?
I mean, no, we're not.
that's an inflatable something or other.
Is that a sign?
We're not allowing the fancy.
Those are prohibited.
Oh, what are they called? I don't even know.
We call them air-activated graphics.
Yes.
Yeah.
The proper name for a flappy flag is a feather sign.
But to your point, I think it's a valid thing, because one of the things we actually do say is the breadth of how this applies is really about where signs are visible from the right-of-way or from like a public right-of-way. So we're not trying to regulate, again, on a gas station where they have now the little video screens that only I can see when fueling gas. We're not trying to regulate that. To your point, where something is happening internal to a site or behind a site that is not meant to be legible from the street, this would not apply. So things like, a lot of times, like, you know, the signage behind a building that's like for fire or police, it's fine. Nobody can see it. We're not worried about it. So something like that, if it's internal, it's not even going to come under this.
Thank you.
Mr. Hannon.
All right, I had another question, kind of from the beginning. Matt, I don't know if you can go back to I think it's like the first sign. It's about the changing, or the internal approval, administrative.
Oh, yeah.
So, big thing for me is I know John is in that position.
more.
He's very thorough, right?
Going forward. Forward. No, I'm sorry. Like, not back to the next.
There we go.
Yeah.
So, in the section where it says will be administratively reviewed and not go to planning commission. And what I was saying is, John, I know you're very thorough in your work, right? But what happens when someone in the future is in your position, right? And they're not as thorough, or they're one of those people that are like, oh yeah, my buddy owns this place down here, I'm gonna let him put up whatever the hell he wants, right? How do we fix that? And one of my questions is, by changing that, do we have to change that in our charter or our whatever?
No, so this is just another title in the, within the zoning ordinance, so I would say no. I guess the planning commission had some questions and thoughts around the change to administrative approval of signs. And let me just first explain, John, when it's becoming content neutral and you're not regulating the content of the sign, they're really only height, area, illumination, and location. It's pretty straightforward, right? The same response that I gave to the planning commission when they brought up this same concern is, so if for whatever reason I'm not in this position and there's somebody else there, well, the planning commission can ask the zoning code to be revised to then require planning commission review of signs moving forward. Right. Is how you would address that. And it would not necessitate a charter change. It could be handled as a zoning code change.
And to that extent, because I've had that concern in other communities too, and it's not just about signs, it would be the equivalent of if you unfortunately had a staff member who was like, it says 40 square feet, but 42 is fine. That same thing could be said about how tall a house is and like the setbacks and everything like that. There is a very clear line in the sand by saying it can no more than this high, same with buildings. So we're treating these very much like a structure with a very objective standard. The answer should be it either meets it or it does not. Right. And because there's no discretion in that about what the message says, what it looks like, that's why it's not really necessary to send it to a board.
And then, I'm not on the planning commission, obviously, but I kind of like how, when I first got on city council, it kind of reminds me of like border control, right? We had a city council member on the board of control, so we kind of knew what was going on, but we kind of removed that so we didn't have to go there. But we still get like a border control report. I think it would be cool to have like a report submitted to either city council or the planning commission, just so like everyone's kind of like, okay, hey, that sign was approved, and then if someone has a question, they can get answers to that question instead of just driving around and be like, why the heck was that? You know what I mean?
So John, right when I first started, the sign element of section of the agenda was huge. And I asked the planning commission to grant me the authority to administratively approve any change to a sign that's been previously approved by the planning commission. And they said they would have no problem doing that. So what we've been doing for a very long time now is they allow me to administratively approve those signs, but on each agenda, I give them a list of the administratively approved signs in the past month. We can certainly add that as a provision into the update to address your concern, where there is no formality to letting the planning commission or council know what's been administratively approved.
And it, like I said, it's not that I have any worry about you. It's just, it's good to have that in place. So whenever someone else is in your position, those kind of procedures have already been put in place and that person follows it.
And it's not that difficult for us to do. You go into Citizen Serve, it spits out a report, and we add that list of addresses to the agenda. So it's not an overly burdensome thing to comply with.
I have one more question regarding digital signs. I've been a big proponent of digital signs since I've got on the city council, but my question is about the digital signs for gas stations. More so, just specifically the actual changing of the numbers. Like, is that something that was ever considered?
So John, we did not. As you know, I worked very, very diligently to find a method to permit electronic message center signage, but not open the floodgates, so to speak. There is no way that we could have addressed gas station signage without opening the floodgates, because you cannot pull out one use out of the B district and regulate electronic message center signage for that use. You have to do it district-wide.
Because you're giving a certain user special speech privileges over everybody else.
It's just, it's one of those things. I feel like every city has digital gas station numbers besides us. So like when it's changing, I don't know how those work. If
They scroll now, actually. They manually scroll from within.
so they can change it kind of real time. It just
Yep. It's just not electronically.
they have to go out there and
No, they can punch the buttons and then it will scroll without them having to put a 6 as a 9 and a.
I'm curious. I'm gonna go watch it. I don't have that kind of time, but I'm gonna go watch one. Scrolls like that. But
I want to say, John, that every single one of the gas stations that we currently have has already gone through the variance process to allow for the scrolling changing of internal changing of the numbers.
Can we make it so only when the price goes down they can scroll? Up, they have to manually walk out there, climb the pole.
John, I will
That's
tell
why
you
it's in the
that we calibrated the sign code to allow an electronic message center sign on the square.
Thank you.
I thought we already had approved that.
There is approval, or the sign code will allow for it. We haven't come through for an application for an electronic message center sign on the square, but when the time comes, the code will accommodate it.
You're ready for us.
We should do that sooner rather than later.
Yes, let's do it.
Got that old school sign out there. I think
Because our parks guys got to go out there and change all those letters. Then you do it. It's close.
Yeah, there you go.
I know I've asked a lot of questions. I'll stop. I know Mr. Ring had a lot of questions. This is going on for first read, right?
It is on for first read tonight.
I think he'll have some questions when he's back. I don't think you'll be here, though. I'm not sure.
I'm confident that John can answer that. Unless it's just coincidentally when I'm up north.
Yeah, right.
Any other, or I'll make a motion if there's no one else.
John, there's a.
Well, Mary,
did you want to make a comment? Yes. Please step up to the podium.
Thank you, Wendy. All you for 8749 Seasons Road. Thanks for the chance to make the comment. I noticed that during the public hearing, we kind of skipped public comment. Went to discussion. But anyway, regardless of that.
We're we're allowed to have public discussion right during that public hearing?
Yeah.
It's a
That's
public
what it's
hearing.
for, yeah.
Really,
We open the floor to comments, yeah.
That's really the time it should take place. But thank you for the opportunity now. I went to a couple of the planning commission meetings, asked a lot of questions, made a lot of comments, and I'll say that our planning department, and our planning commission, and our consultant, they went over this thing very thoroughly, without a doubt. Some of the questions I had revolved around the feather flags, and I think once you start allowing those, even temporarily, that's another thing that the floodgate will open on it. And that's something that you have to think of. Do you want to let that happen? Do you want to have those seen in the city or not? That's up to what we want to have, along Route 14 or 43. I also was the one that questioned about the 5x8 signs or the monument signs. And the reason I made mention of it is because many of the new monument signs that I see in the city considerably smaller than that. They actually look pretty darn good. Right now we have somebody coming, I think it's Chick-fil-A, that is going to have a 5x8 sign, which is a 40 square foot. It's on a bigger lot, wider open area in our city. I imagine it would look fine. It'll be bigger than many of the other ones. And they made mention that that would make a lot of non-conforming signs, which I understand if you reduce that to kind of see what the average is out there. But the only time I think that would come into play was when they changed their sign, or they wanted to change the monument sign, get a new sign, then they could make it conform, as opposed to just changing script or the insert, which go through John now, right? That's something to consider. Another thing I spoke of that you may want to take a look at is right now we have that 2 square foot or linear foot of building. I made mention about Target. Target's over 500 feet long. You can do the math on that, right? You can have a sign that's 10 feet tall and what, I don't know, 100 and some feet long with that as it currently stands. And they did cap it at 400. That 400 though would also fit on a building. 400 is probably close to what they have on Target now. Maybe that's 300 and some, or Walmart. That amount of signage now would also fit on a building with 200 linear foot of frontage. So that's a sign, or a group of sign, or number of signs that up to 10 feet tall, 40 feet long. It sounds like a lot to me. Sounds like a billboard. I didn't think that they needed to get into some type of, mathematical equation to limit some of that. But to me, even that 400 foot on a 200 foot long building seems like a lot of signage, a lot of square feet for that. And when you consider that generally along the bottom of the building, there's very little signage. Most of it is all up high, and that reduces the amount of square foot frontages of those buildings. I did ask some of the planning commission members about relinquishing their authority. And I think we all have full faith in Don, in our planning department and what they've been doing for these years. They did make mention, what if it changes, or what if there were problems? And unfortunately, what I thought was, by the time you find out that you've relinquished your authority and things are going south, bad things have already happened. That may be one of the drawbacks of doing that in advance. And they say that there's really not much other than square footage or sign location and that. But in the case of a monument sign, what about the size and type of the monument? Now you're starting to allow signs with posts and boards between them. Do they fit into the area? You know, does it match the building? Is it, I think there's other things to review. We're looking at signs that project out from a building. Is it excessive? Is it too small? Is it, I think there are still things that planning commission could take a look at if they wanted to. I mean, that's up to council. But I'll say they went over a lot of stuff. They were very thorough and going piece by piece. And I still think that there's things that, as council, you may want to consider. I do have one question too. Can a sign project above the roof line at all? No.
Yeah.
It cannot currently, and we kept that prohibition in place.
Paul, I just had a quick question. So, like you were talking about Walmart, for example.
Yes.
So what you're saying is
Walmart's
like,
1,000 feet long.
so if what you're saying is like the Walmart sign looks proportionate to the building, but like you're saying you can put that same size sign on like the size of this building, and it's basically roof to floor.
Maybe John could speak to how many square feet of signage is on the Walmart now. It is. It's been a very long time since I've looked at it, but it's between 600 and 800 square feet on that entire building. But that also includes the side, the door number. Yeah, that includes everything. But when you look at the front of that building, you're talking about fitting about that amount of signage down onto a building that's 200 feet long. They said that some of these things have been self-regulating. I've seen self-regulation in our community, and sometimes it doesn't work out so well. But that was one of the things. Those were the things that I brought up to the Planning Commission. They did put the cap on it, I think, as part of their discussion with that. Mm-hmm. But that's something that council will want to look at. 400. Yeah, so that means, and 400 square feet is about what you have on Target, is that correct? Yeah. So Target's 500 feet long, so you're going to have a building that's 200 feet long with the same amount of signage as Target has. Perfect. Well, thank you for the opportunity.
Mr. Mayor.
In regards to if we get a new planning director and he's not as competent, do you guys really honestly think we're going to go out there and get some buffoon? I mean, seriously. You know, it just is, it is just beyond me. John has done a great job, okay? And the next person that we get, if there is a next person, is going to do a great job too. And I don't understand why we just went here for about 12 minutes on discussion of what happens if John leaves and the next person isn't that way. We still have to do it, and it's going to be there. I mean, I've heard a lot of stuff that we're worried about, and I honestly don't think there's a lot of stuff to worry about. I think they've done a bang-up job. I really do.
I think it's
Wendy's been doing this a long time. John has been doing it a long time. I think there's a lot of things that we've incorporated in here that were a long time coming. And I just hope we put it through the way it was presented. It went through Planning Commission this way. It went through his review, and it went through her review, and they're okay with it.
On that, you recognize me? Sorry.
Yes,
Wait till
go ahead.
recognized, right? Sorry, John. On what the mayor's saying, I tend to agree, and I tend to agree with Paul too. And you think of these what-if scenarios. Currently it's Planning Commission. Now we're going to go to John, and I'm fine with that. But if the ordinance reads that it's just John, well, not you, but your position, and he becomes vacant, or sick, or gone, or does something that gets him removed, can we put language into the statute that allows, without having to come back and wait for a council meeting to change the statute again, that allows the mayor to, in the absence of, the planning director, the mayor can appoint planning commission to make those decisions or something, you know what I'm saying, just a fail safe. Or if there's, something that, using John as an example, that the mayor doesn't like, the mayor is who's accountable to the people. Like, can we not give the mayor some sort of administrative power to redirect and have both those options open, the commission and the director? Is there a way we can write that? So that you can make the call if, like, hey, he's sick or he's out or he's on maternity leave and there's sign approval, review waiving. Is there a way we could put in the statute that says, in his absence, the mayor can appoint the planning commission to make those decisions on these?
We have an assistant planner that,
Yeah, it would be planning director or designee, is how I would do that. And then the mayor has the authority, in the absence of the planning director, to indicate who that designee is.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, I want a fail safe for the administrator to operate on. That's all.
Yep.
I just want to say something real quick.
It's not. Is it currently written that way, or no? We need to change it.
I believe that it is, but I will make sure.
Just double check it.
Yep.
Thank you.
Mr. Hannon?
Yeah, just before we get down the rabbit hole, Mayor, I'm not saying that you mentioned hiring some buffoon or whatever to take over for John's position. I think those things are in place though, because we're the checks and balances of government. We don't give you the ultimate power to say, you know what, this is what's best for the city, or any of our directors. If we said, hey, you know what, Patrick, go do whatever you want to do, give whatever tax incentive you want, and it's going to come back to us and say, well, what the heck, right? So I'm just saying, more so like
Business would boom.
I'm just saying, like, I would be more concerned in John's position, or like someone like Bill's position, like for someone with not the experience that those guys have, right? So like if I got hired as the planning director, I would have not the first clue of what to do, right? Because this guy probably memorizes, our sign code, right? So, and I don't. So if I'm, this young professional that comes in and gets hired for that position, and I don't know, and I'm just like, yeah, that looks great, versus him who's been doing it for however many years, John, right, that knows it. So it's nice to have those, kind of checks and balances in place, so then that way someone's not just unilaterally.
John, there are parameters in the sign code. It can be this big. It can have this on it. Right. And anybody that has come out of planning school, okay, can look at that and say, okay, the sign has to be, he would probably be even more strict than John would be because of the way that the sign was. I mean, when we hire a planner, we're going to hire someone, right. Not necessarily fresh out of school or anything like that. I mean, I really don't think that it's something that we have to be very concerned with. And the other avenue too is the company that we recently hired as our new CBO. They also offer planning services. So if John and Jimmy Hopple are on a flight to Tasmania or something, the plane crashes. All right, we can take and bring in a consulting, right, to cover for that. Are you going to Tasmania?
I really don't have any intentions on going anywhere. So what if the planning director stuck around?
Well, then we're in good hands. No. We're on citizens' comments, I believe, right? Are we? Oh, never mind. Sorry.
We're still on.
I got confused.
Still on old business.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I thought we were down a little bit farther. We do not have a motion.
Thank you. Ted Hurd, 769 David Drive, Streetsboro. I just want to make a quick comment from a point of view that I've formed a dozen or more homeowners associations and followed their process through many places where I've built. And when you buy a home within a homeowners association, whether it's a condominium or a single family home, you have to know that you're buying within that homeowners association. You sign documents to that effect. And if you're the type of person that wants to be political, outspoken, and put signs in your yard and stuff, there's an avenue that you could follow to get that accomplished. It takes a little work. You have to go to your homeowners association and get the rules changed. That's your right within that association. You're a member of that group. And so all you have to do is get a grassroots movement going to change that rule. There you are. You don't have to go to the mayor's office. You don't have to go to city council. You just have to get enough people within your homeowners group to follow the same way you want to go. And you can have signs in your front yard or whatever you want. In condominium situations, it's mostly about you don't own the property where the sign would be, because that's in the common area. It's not in your limited common area, which only you use. So that's with the condominiums. With other homeowners associations where you have a 1 acre single family lot or something, it's a little different. But there are ways of getting those rules changed. And it's the grassroots movement, going with your other association members, bringing up a vote, get rules changed. Pretty much.
Thank you.
Make a motion to move this to tonight's full council for first read if there's no other discussion.
First and a second to move this to tonight's full council on first read. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, this item has been moved. Item 5, new business. Item A, T7971, update Evergreen Cemetery pricing. Mr. Bill Miller.
Yeah, I reviewed some of the surrounding cemeteries. Our prices were real low, and we need to adjust them. This doesn't have to go on emergency. This can be first read for this also. Basically, this just brought us up to par with all the other people, right in even with them, not higher, just right at them. I think it's something that needs to be done. It should have been done probably a few years ago, but it needs to be passed. If anybody has any questions.
Questions or discussion?
There's no further discussion. I'll make a motion to move this to tonight's full council.
Is this emergency or is this?
First read.
Yeah, it can go first read, fine. I put it in for emergency, but it doesn't. I understand that.
I apologize, I haven't read it yet. Does it increase the pricing?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I just would like the citizens to get a chance, if somebody wants
Yeah, I'm
to
fine.
speak on it, not rush it, and see, if there's any comment. There probably won't be, but,
Yeah, we were very low.
Yeah, we were real low compared to surrounding communities.
and you can't take it with you, so you might as well give it to us.
You said not emergency, right?
Yeah, it can go to first read. I'm fine with that.
I just prefer that, in case somebody's like, oh, wait, I never heard that. At least we can say it took 5 months.
So I made the motion.
Well, you did it for emergency, right?
Yeah, so I'll make a
Make a motion to forward it as first read.
make a motion to forward it as first read.
Second.
Okay, first and a second to move this to tonight's full council as first read. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, this has been moved. Item 6, citizens' comments. Okay, thank you. Item 7, announcements. A special finance committee meeting will immediately follow this meeting.
To adjourn?
Second.
Second to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we are adjourned. Ready? Yeah. Okay. I'd like to call this special finance committee meeting of Monday, April 13th, 2026 to order. Caroline, can you please call roll?
Mr. Mishniak?
Here.
Mr. Lampa?
Here.
Ms. Glenn?
Here.
Mr. Lombardo?
Here.
Ms. Wagner? Here. Mr. Ring? Mr. Hannon?
Here.
Motion to excuse Mr. Ring?
Second.
First and a second to excuse Mr. Ring. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, Mr. Ring is excused. Item 3, special business. Item A, T7972, authorized contract with PCR PC for CDBG funds for 2027 and 2028. Mr. O'Malley.
Good evening. As we discussed at the last meeting, it's the time of the year where we have to make an application for the upcoming 2-year cycle for the Community Development Block Grant Funds. This is the first of 2 discussions. To be clear, at this portion, we're just talking about 27, 28. The money we're applying for the next 2 years. After that, we're going to talk about how we're going to wrap up the 2026 funds. The CDBG funds amount to about $127,500 after we pay Portage County Regional Planning Commissions for the application, advocacy, and administration thereof. We have Director Todd Peets and Ms. Barbara Safaro. They are both here from the regional planning. I felt I was going to feel bad for them sitting through the signing thing, but they're planners and they probably loved it. The proposed allocation for the 27-28, with the permission, is $100,000 for the lawn mowing and then $27,500 to install a 500-foot long, 5-foot wide, 4-inch thick sidewalk from Russell Drive to the back of the city center project here. That was chosen because the area behind us is qualified as a low moderate income community. As soon as you hit that threshold where that is a low LMI community, it will be considered what is known as a direct benefit project. That will help us look good in the eyes of the powers that be. I think that it would be good if we gave Billy plenty of advance leeway on that project, because if we were to perform that project in-house, Billy can buy some materials, Billy can buy some consumables, and we can also reimburse ourselves for the payment of that service department crew's wages. So this will be a nice little way for us to kind of get both. I'm sure there is some discussion as to whether or not $100,000 is adequate for the lawn care program, but as stated, there is a cap for how much of this money we can actually spend on anything that doesn't directly benefit LMI. This lawn mowing program kind of falls into the service territory. We need to focus at least a little bit on brick and mortar projects. Are there any questions either for myself or the representatives from regional planning?
So that's 50,000 per year for 27-28 lawn mowing, correct?
That is correct, because it's the money will all go to them, but we've got to make it last for 2 years.
Okay, and do we have any idea of what the spend was for, let's just say, 2025?
We do. Todd, would you like to?
Todd Peets, is it on?
Sounds like.
Okay, good. So I'm Todd Peets, the Director of Portage County Regional Planning. We did had 72 households, in the program, and we had 335 mows, and we spent approximately $70,000 on that. So the way in 2020, which would be the 21-22 year, we had 61 households, and over 2 years did 389 mows. The only way to get that down to $100,000 is to somehow hard cap that number. We actually capped that number for this round, these last 2 years, at 50, but we had some scope creep where some additional folks were added on, and we are now at 72, which shouldn't have happened. But we have a very, how do I describe Jeremiah? A very wonderful person. It's a wonderful program, and Jeremiah didn't want to see anybody left out, because in 2022, which is the 23-24s, we had 91. So we actually have less at 72 than we did previous program. But again, as you have more people, as you add people, you add costs, you add time and expenses. So I think if we were to go forward with that $100,000, we could do it. Probably if we had that hard cap of 50. Again, that leaves some seniors out. We have lost some seniors to this program over time through attrition. They pass away, unfortunately. So I think that's the best way to get there.
So I would prefer not to leave seniors out. Like, we can't just say this is how much money we have, first come, first serve, and you don't get it. Are we able to do this 50,000 per year? Because we were talking earlier about the mowing and.
I think you could do it if you kept it at 50. I mean, we are at 72, and that spent out $70,000. So that's the reason why you got to get the number down a little bit.
I have a A quick question, just
Yes, Mr.
Todd, if
Mayor.
you could clarify, what was the cost you said we spent over the first, one of the first numbers you threw out when you first started talking, you said we spent, however, how much did we spend on this?
For this current cycle that we're in, we call it the 2024 cycle, but it really doesn't start until 25 and 26. We're about to begin the 26 right now.
Yeah.
We had 72 households and 335 mows, and it's 1 year, and it's $70,000 spent.
Just had a quick question. So you mentioned Jeremiah is a really great guy. It's a great program. So what he's doing is he's taking on more customers when there's a hard cap of 50, but then he's billing you or billing us?
He's building, now he's not building he's building the project. He's building the project. And, we're working with Jeremiah. We had a discussion with him about how we can add it. Really, you shouldn't be adding anything.
Right.
But we did have a discussion. And working with Patrick, and looking at the numbers, since we don't have a demolition project in mind right now, and you only have 4.5 months left, it really makes sense to push this money into the lawn mowing program. It's the current number of participants at 72. That would give us just a little under 60,000. Or, we have 15,000 left, plus 42. That's 57,000. So we should be, and we don't have. And keep in mind, Jeremiah's cutting all the way. We'd have to stop cutting at August 31st, which is the end of the grant.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, that leaves September and October out there for them to need to find their own solution.
Okay.
But we won't have that in 2026 like we did 25. So we'll have less mows just because there's 2 less months to mow in. Okay.
Thank you for clarifying the numbers. I just wanted to make sure I remembered what you said at the beginning.
Patrick's got his hand up.
Mr. Amalia.
Thank you. Councilman Lampa, to your point, I understand that no one wants to leave anybody out of this, and I've been thinking about this for the past 3 weeks. I spoke with Law Director Grandinetti about this. I think that it would be permissible for us to explore where it's a reduced program, but the seniors would still be required to contribute something. Like, perhaps if you're on an incredibly fixed income, it's $5 a mow, but if you're slightly more well off, maybe it's 10. There is a possibility we could look into that. Joe seems to think it's legal. I just don't know what that looks like for them on an administrative side, because realistically, like I said, these guys don't really make that much money off of this. It is a lot of work for them, but there are things that we could at least explore. The challenges that we are running very close to this deadline for us to have something submitted.
So when the senior applies for it, you guys do all the vetting, correct? So if we go with this other program, we need to have something in-house that does the vetting.
Oh, I don't. Well, we do already have a senior services person.
We do?
Named Teresa. Thank you.
Okay. I don't know, I'm on the fence. I don't want any senior to not be able to have this program. And the city has, an overabundance of money in our general fund. I don't understand why we can't put something to pick up the difference.
It's already means tested, right?
Yes.
Correct. You must be low moderate income, and you.
Where
do you fall on that
are
scale?
not seniors in the 72? Are there people part of the 72 homes that 335 mows? Are there folks in that 72 that are not categorized as a senior?
No.
It's all senior mowing.
No, it's under the fair housing. It's based on the fair housing.
Yeah, but I mean, is it all seniors?
They're all seniors.
Okay, then I don't understand what you mean by I don't want to see any seniors.
So right now we have 72 people.
Do you want to have all seniors covered or just all
No, all
means tested?
that meet the requirement.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'm like, there's some seniors that can pay to have their lawns.
So like right now we have 72 houses, and that's at 70,000.
There's 72 houses and they're all means tested. What's the cutoff income?
Depends on household size, actually.
HUD generates the cutoff income, so I don't have that information in
Can you
front of
just
me.
ballpark? I have no idea what it is.
Isn't it like 150 below poverty level? Yeah.
It's below. Is it below poverty though?
No.
No, that's what I'm saying. Why don't we just play with the cutoff, and that's gonna solve your problem? Let's find a real number that makes sense. I don't know what the number is. If it's 150% below poverty, then they all need it. But if it's above poverty, maybe they don't need the service. They're just taking it because it's a convenience. I don't know. I just, without hearing numbers, I can't make a decision. Nobody knows the numbers. Like, is it $35,000 a year income? Is it
They
70,000?
change annually.
Yeah.
Annually, HUD releases new guidelines. So every year they change.
But nobody, I'm not faulting anyone. Nobody has it.
Well, I'll look it up right now if you give me a second.
Yeah, because couldn't we play with that, or do we have to go by the HUD guidelines?
You have to. Correct.
So what I was saying is we have 72, I'll just say seniors now that have it, and that's going to be 70 grand. So next year we have 50 grand to use, so that means we're going to throw people off this program.
It's about $1,000 per person, so.
Yeah, I mean, as a resident who's not a senior yet, I get it, but free mowing in town isn't really.
Well, if you qualify, you're not obviously below poverty.
Still, you're talking about dipping into more tax dollars that are earned by the whole community and utilizing them for a certain segment of the community. Now, I don't know if that's fair. There are people that'll say, "Hey, I'm below the income level, but I'm not a senior."
So let's take the CDBG program out of the equation, so we wouldn't do anything for our senior community?
I didn't say that. I said you have a cutoff and you meet the cutoff. You don't say, "I don't want to see anybody left out." I think he spoke earlier and said when you have a certain amount of money, Jeremiah went above the cutoff because of emotion, was what you're suggesting, not to fault you, but
emotion.
Yeah, it is. It's 100% emotion. You're just saying you don't want to cut, you don't want to do anything. What I'm saying is you have a cutoff and you stick to the cutoff because there's only so much money, and that's what he's saying at the podium to us, and we're saying, yeah, but they're seniors. Do it for the kids. We, make decisions off money up here. We don't make decisions off of what feels good. I'm not trying to be smart. I'm like, we don't have the money, we have the money. And your suggestion is let's dip into some more taxpayer dollars to supplement what they don't have to cover us. I'm not for that because that's a rabbit hole. Well, then that becomes all seniors get free mowing, and I mean, this isn't Beechwood. Like, we don't have that kind of money.
I mean, seniors get free trash pickup, don't they, Mr. Mayor?
That's means tested too. Supposed to be.
Mr. Lombardo.
Thank you. Mr. Lampa brings up some pretty good points. I do agree with Mr. Michniak. I think we have to cap it. What happens when we get 80, in the city at one point? Then we have to keep raising it. And, like Mr. Michniak said, we're responsible for everybody. And, we want to help as much as we can. But, there's going to have to be a number. I mean, we're up here crunching numbers because we're worried about property taxes possibly becoming an issue.
I just think we use the money we have allocated for this program and no more. I mean, that's expanding a new program.
I feel like something's going on.
There's something going on with me and her, because the reality of it is we are over the contract amount. The contract amount was 50, and we were at 72. So if you want to keep it at 72, which I think sounds like Mr. Lampa does, then we would need to adjust the contract between us and Jeremiah, or us, the commissioners and Jeremiah, so that it reflects 72, and it also reflects the increase in money and how much can be spent on each home. You do have a $1,500 or $1,490 limit per address. So this influx of money, and we don't have new members jumping on board in the next 4 months, we're going to need some way to fund that above the $1,500 cap. So I don't want to shock anybody there with that. Now, we're still talking about 2027 and 2028, and we're also kind of diving into where we're going to go in the next topic here. But for the 2027, 2028, either stick with 50 or 60, but we can't go over that number. Unfortunately, I believe we're going to lose. We lose several seniors every time because these people are not necessarily healthy seniors. These are 80, 90-year-old people who really can't cut the grass with themselves anymore, and so they do qualify.
I have a question first.
Okay.
So I How often is the grass being mowed? Like, could we space it out more so we could serve more people? But
I was just gonna ask that.
Then it's against the
It's
order.
every 2 weeks?
Right now, it's every
Wait, our ordinance says you have to cut it every 2 weeks.
Yeah, in the summer, if you
3
don't,
inches high.
yeah, when it's 8 inches tall, it has to be mowed. Or the
I think it's
city will
10,
do it.
Isn't it 10?
I thought it was 8.
And we were trying to get it to 8, but I don't think that happened.
Well, your grass isn't, I mean, if you.
Yours is
fertilize it,
2 inches
like-
high all the time.
We've done 3 weeks before, and the residents are not happy.
Well, I know they're not happy, but if we have to make a decision, maybe that's a decision that we make. You're just not going to get it cut as often as you would like it, and we would like it cut every 2 weeks, but that's not going to work because what you're telling us, we have $50,000. So I'm just trying to come up with another way we could possibly serve more people.
How many mows do we have
People out.
total? With 72 people? That's 4.6 mows the household average. That's not covering the whole summer. You guys
Yeah,
only
that-
mowed your
is that
grass
right?
4.6 times the summer? So they're mowing pretty high grass each.
It's only like about that sounds like once a month.
Yeah.
Yes, Mr. Lombardo.
So I guess I was thinking about this, because, again, Mike, you bring up good points, and I'm trying to think about how we can make this better, but if we would have stuck at the 50, if they would have come here tonight, we wouldn't even have been entertaining any of this, because he would have been at the 50. We wouldn't even have had a problem, right? So now, because we had more cuts or more lawns that were taken on, now we have this issue of where we're going to fund the difference.
This is the confusion between
Really
the item on the agenda and the current item on the agenda. The current agenda would be 50. The one we're going to deal with next, that's the one where it's, so just to be clear, so if we stay at the 50, we should be able to hit that $100,000.
But I think it kind of ties together, right? Because even if we come out and say, hey, Todd, you guys mow 100 yards, what's stopping Jeremiah? He already went above the contract, so next year he's going to have 115. He's going to find, so like, then you guys are going to be coming back and asking us to cover the money. So like, we need to put something in place for him to. I know that he has a big heart and everything, but like, I thought when you were starting this, you were like, yeah, he's getting paid for 50, but he's out of the goodness of his heart, he's mowing 22 others for free and not charging you for it. But now it's kind of like,
Well, Jeremiah has said that he would cut grass for free for his seniors because he feels they need it.
Yeah.
But how do we hold them to that? And I don't think that would
Yeah.
be responsible on our part.
It's like the guys who cut the trees. They just went and cut $17,000 worth of trees because it needed done, and then we just paid the bill. That's what we're doing here.
I guess I'm not quite understanding how we got up to 72. I mean, I'm confused here as how that happened. We had 50, somehow got to 72. How did that happen?
Well, okay, so we went to 50, for that last cycle, right? We had 91.
Right.
And Barb's predecessor, who's retired now, her and Jeremiah worked out this thing. I need to cut this person's good because they need it because they're old or whatever. And the previous person in our office let them do it.
So she allowed it to happen.
She allowed it to happen. We call it, it's kind of like a scope creep kind of thing where you allow additional work to be done when you didn't have it in the original, as part of the original contract. However, we've been working with Jeremiah on that. We've also been working with the prosecutor's office on it as well because we recognize this is out of contract.
Mm-hmm.
We're working together on that to resolve that. Jeremiah, I feel, again, really felt bad that we were going from 91 to 50. That's 41 seniors, and he wanted to maintain some of those seniors because of that. Now, is that the right choice? I don't think it was, but at the same time,
The program still only has so much money, though, and we have to make it work for what we have.
True.
So I'm just trying to understand and.
So the history of this program, the first time we did this was 2020 for the 21-22, then we did it again in 22 for the 23-24. So this is actually, we're coming to you for the fourth time, and this fourth time is the 127,000.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But in all three cases, in the 2020, the 2022, and the 2024 cycles, and this is the 2024 cycle, there was money set aside for demolition, and that demolition never occurred. So in the 2021 cycle, or 2022 cycle, 2023, that money was given the demolition money. And again, the 22 cycle, that money was given demolition money to take on more stuff. Now we're back again, next item, or back again saying, hey, there's no demos in sight and we're 4 months out. We need to spend this money. So let's move it there and keep this thing afloat. So that's where we're at right now.
It's either spend it or lose it, correct?
Spend it or lose it, correct. So that's where we're at. That's why we're saying, let's just,
And just to piggyback off of what Patrick said, and we had a conversation earlier, but public service is only allowed to be 15% of your allocation. So in either case, with the upcoming, with the new money and with the funding that they're going to be talking about coming up, waivers have to be requested. So you may say that this is what you want to do, but the state is still going to have the final say-so if they want to allow you to go over the 15% cap. Now, my guess is with the old money, they will allow that because we have the August 31st deadline. However, with the new money, a waiver will need to be written, and you will have to explain why we are going to exceed this 15%. So just something to keep in mind. I'm not saying it won't go through, but it is at the state's allowance because they are reporting to HUD, and the state of Ohio has to stay under 15%. So it's a bigger umbrella than just Streetsboro and the county.
the state has been very accommodating to that because we're going to say, well, where else do you want us to spend it? And there's only, because the LMI area in the city is very small. We've been looking at sidewalk we talked about, Patrick mentioned already. But, I was driving down that section because I was trying to come out on the back way, so I avoided the traffic. But I don't believe there was any traffic. But anyways. So, but basically, that road probably could use a critical infrastructure grant, and we can apply for it. We talked to the state about it. The state says, well, has there been any accidents or fatalities on that little quiet road? No, and thank God there hasn't been. And it seems like a really silly requirement. But the state's, when it goes to a critical infrastructure, which is outside your allocation, that's a lot more money, number one. But it's also a lot more competitive thing around the entire state. We're not just dealing with Portage County, we're dealing with everybody in the state now. So that's why they said, oh, if there's a fatality, that really affects your thing. And well, that's the last thing we want, right? But we are trying to think outside the box a little bit more. With that, we've been meeting with Patrick, who's also been trying to think outside. We've been meeting with Samantha, trying to think outside the box for recreational type of facilities for the CDBG funds. So we are trying to find other ways to spend the money, but for right now, it seems like the $100,000 or putting all the money at the $127,000 from this last cycle seems like the best choice at this point because you're not going to, otherwise you're not going to use that $42,500.
Just the last thing I wanted to mention was that coming from the state, the first question they asked when I had a conversation after speaking with Patrick is, are they going to do something concrete? Something that the state is going to be looking towards as we see funding cuts, as I mentioned. So public service is great. There is money there for public service, and it is a wonderful program. But just as you see these cuts coming down the line, just please keep in mind that you're probably, and I think Patrick has mentioned this, going to need to be looking at other options moving forward.
Patrick had his hand up for a bit.
Thank you. So just to be clear, if we really wanted to keep this in line with the guidelines, we would be allocating $19,100 for seniors, right? We're allocating 100. We're going 5 times over. Barbie, excellent segue. Thank you. There has to be like a concrete project, sidewalks, concrete, hooray, so let's just, we'll put something together like that and kind of tell the state like, hey, we're doing this, we're going to do an actual brick and mortar. There are, like I said, Todd, Barb, and I can have a conversation and just say like, what would it look like if there was a contribution from the seniors? Because Mr. Mishniak asked, this is a very high range, Mr. Mishniak, but the extremely low level for a 2-family household in the Akron MSA, $24,100. However, you could qualify for this program all the way up to $64,240.
How would that be done?
Because,
Additional family members? Or?
no, for 2-member household.
Oh, wow.
So there's 30%, which would extremely low income, but this is low moderate income, right? And the cutoff for moderate is if you make $64,241. You're no longer moderate income. But if you make $64,239, you're moderate income. And I do not know how many of our residents are at that level where they're kind of just hovering right around that. I know that Streetsboro tends to be, I mean, to your point, we're not Beechwood, but we're not really poor either. We are, our residents are very, very good at saving their nickels and dimes. We are a very cost conscientious community here. Our median income definitely outpaces the state, the county, and even the nation. So, you know, I'm going to just go right ahead and guess that there's an awful lot of them that might be right at that threshold, but, you know, probably aren't at that $24,000 100. Maybe those are the people that we prioritize. And I don't, the administration of this falls completely on these guys. So, you know, I'd like to make it manageable for them.
Statistics of the people that are in this program.
As far as income, you mean?
Not names, but just statistics.
Like the income,
Yes.
is that what you mean?
We'd have that information.
I'd be curious to see that.
It's a sidebar.
But you said that we can't change the income, like if 64, we couldn't say 35, that's what we're going up. Whatever would make the 50 people that are the neediest, I guess. We can't do that.
Or the guidelines are set by HUD and we can't deviate is the question.
Well, some people might think they're being discriminated. Again, like fair housing is a big driver in a lot of
Mhm.
who qualify. So if you were to say your LMI, which is what the HUD pays for, and you say, well, you're not LMI enough.
Yeah.
And then they could probably challenge that opinion.
Gotcha.
Well, how do we get rid of 20 people off the program then? How do you just draw it out of a hat, or how?
The only fair time would be by date of sign up. It's just like a line.
The longer you've been there, you just keep, you're just
Yeah,
on the program?
and you said it as
Is that how you would
who
do
was
it
in
then?
line first, the first 50 that applied.
First 50 that apply, get in. We'd start with our seniors.
It's the only fair way, yeah.
They have to reapply every year.
Not every year, it's every
Every other year?
Yeah, I have 2 questions. So, for you, Todd, what is the application process? So, like when you say like Jeremiah like added someone, do they have to come to you? So, like, you know, I know that like obviously you guys have.
Jeremiah does not LMI confirm anybody. So yeah.
Well, that's what I'm concerned about. It.
So Jeremiah basically said, Mrs. Smith, I know I've been cutting your yard for the last 4 years.
You better be cutting hair.
Go to regional planning, sign it up, whatever, and her predecessor signed them up. And
Because like if you know if you're in that position, right? So if you say, hey, sorry, we're already at 50, like someone needed to say, like. Okay. And then my other question, sorry for Mr. Lampa, you don't have to answer this, but like if you don't want to, but you mentioned like you don't want to leave anyone out. So are you, like, what are you suggesting, or were you suggesting that like we just set aside like, you know, what if 150 seniors come by and say, hey, we want our yards cut, we need this, like us pay the remainder of this?
If this program goes away, I just think that, I mean, we're getting free money, we're using it. I disagree that a 2-family income house that's making $64,000 a year needs the rest cut free.
Mm-hmm.
I do disagree with that.
And I'm not sure if anyone's taking advantage of that, you know, but because you said most of them are like the 90-year-old people that actually need it.
If we don't re-vet people, like, on income, I mean, what if Lucy Smith inherits $500,000?
Yeah.
Like, why should she still be on the program?
Right.
So I don't know. I just think it needs a better process. But if it does go away, I don't see a problem with us as a city having
I guess that's a
controlled
conversation for another
senior,
day, yeah.
low moderate,
Yeah,
or
because
whatever it is.
with any
Okay.
program, once somebody gets used to a service, you know, and they say, hey, you can't do this anymore, then, you know, that would be when we would have to really take a hard look of like, oh, do we really want to pay the $100,000 over 2 years to whatever it is, you know?
Sounds like it's 70 now and
Yeah.
probably climbing,
I
so.
think Jen had some.
Yes, Jen, did you have a question?
So when they call in now, and you're in that position, do you tell them they can't, like if someone now were to call in, do they get turned down?
Currently, that is what we're doing. The prosecutor at this point has recommended that because of where the program stands.
Before you stepped in, they called in, and they were just taking it on.
That's my understanding.
Which prosecutor was it, Dina?
It was Brett Benz, he's our assistant county prosecutor.
Mr. Lamar?
Just one more comment, Mr. Lampa. Would you be willing to do some research if I help you? We can see what other places do, other cities, and try to come up with something. Okay. That way we can.
I'd be interested in what other cities are doing also.
Well, but we need to have something like tonight for these guys' deadlines, because they're going to have to work up to the state, county to state, state to feds, then feds, state, county.
I'm suggesting we go to the amount they're allocated, that we're allowed to be allocated, that you have a cutoff number, and you go by date. You go by date. It's the only fair way. It's a line. Whoever was in line first, when you hit 50 or whatever, we decide, that's it.
We can tinker with it
Or
later.
tonight.
My main concern tonight is just the dollars, because that's the information that these guys need tonight. So are we all okay with $100,000, which is I guess,
Yes.
5 times more than what we should be? 27,500 for sidewalks. We're fantastic.
Well,
Thank you.
if there's no other discussion on that, I'll make a motion to move T7972 to full council.
Second.
First and a second to move this item to tonight's full council. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, this item has been moved. Item B, T7973, amend. That's prior year, is that what that is, Patrick? Prior year 24?
Program year, ma'am.
Program year 24,
ma'am.
CDBG to reallocate funds from demolition program to senior/disabled low moderate income grass cutting program. Mr. O'Malley.
As previously discussed, we are at a critically low balance in the lawn care program. There's $15,000 left. We have $42,500 left in the demolition fund. We were trying to do something with that funds for the old Wingate Hotel. They were tech delinquent. They came in at the last minute and paid themselves up. We can't touch them. So what we're going to have to do is ask the state of Ohio for permission to transfer the $42,500 from the demolition account to the senior disabled lawn count. That will bring us up to $57,545. And that's just going to have to be enough to last us till August 31st, at which point those funds will all, if they're not spent, be clawed back by the federal government. I'd like your permission to have these guys petition on our behalf to the state of Ohio and ask for that.
So your thought, Patrick, is that you're still figuring we still have 72 people on the program and it might work out with the money because the last 2 months aren't going to be part of it because of the August 31st deadline?
I've learned long ago not to estimate Cleveland weather. Hopefully it's a dry summer. We don't have a lot of grass growth. But regardless, I mean, you're tapping out 100% of your funds.
I guess my question is if that's not enough money because it wasn't last year, and I know that went longer growing season, then what happens?
Well, then you're out of money. I mean,
Out of money and that's just it?
that's it.
Grass mowing is over.
I would,
And out on July 15th, that's when we're done?
if the funds run out on July 15th, it will be up to this body to determine whether or not they would like to use funds from the general fund to cover that expense or not. But they will be out of federal funds for certain.
So would we kind of be kept up on that if we're getting low? I mean, or is it, I don't want to find out after we're done that, or, you know, oh, we're out of money now we have to come up with something.
We are under no contractual obligation to any of the service providers. The contract is between the county and the service provider. The city is not in the midst of this. So if there were to be a situation like the one just described, I think that we would just partner up with the county and try to say, hey, guess what? No. I'm not a lawyer, but it seems like a pretty open and shut case to me.
Mr. Hannon?
Thank you. What happens if, because you said they would, they're going to argue this on our behalf. What happens if they say no? Then we're then that money runs out quicker.
Well, then that $42,500 will be left in the demolition fund. However, for all intents and purposes, it'll be impossible for me to use. In order for me to use the demolition fund, I have to get several environmental studies. Think of this just in the simplest possible terms. There has to be an asbestos study and some other things done before we can even start the process of application and moving this down the pipeline. 4 months, if you started tomorrow, I might be able, but then that building would have to be down by August 31st.
Well, I'm just saying, for the grass cutting program. So
well, what I'm saying is that money, if they don't approve it, then
Yeah,
it's stuck in demo and it's basically going back to the feds.
So if you said we had 15,000 or so in grass cutting.
You have 15,000 in the grass.
They say, no, we're not transferring this money to the grass cutting, then it might not even be July. That grass cutting program will be done in next month.
Probably.
What's the chances of them actually reallocating that money?
It's probably pretty good.
Okay.
It creates more work for them to get the money back, but that's what you got to do if you want to utilize it.
So if we got turned down, then could we try to use the money for something else, or is it one time to try to reallocate it and then no, it's going back?
So the biggest way to describe this is you got to use it for slum and blight, which is the demolition program. Slum and blight. So that if you can find, like Patrick said, you might not be able to find a place that qualifies, and then you got to. Then it's the other requirements about being LMI, serving LMI. So we're serving the seniors who are LMI. We talked about the handicap accessibility. That's another one. Anything with handicap accessibility, but that's not what this money is in right now. You'd have to switch it to a handicap accessibility thing.
Right.
So like Barb said, we've been in contact with the state fairly regularly on all of our projects, and this one included. And they are well aware of what's happening. They understand there was a switch. They've been very sympathetic for Barb trying to pick up and inherit some of Russell's projects and pick it up, come up and run with them. So we're very confident. I don't want to say I'm 100% because nothing's really 100% anymore, but we're fairly confident that we're going to get that money. But I do appreciate you using the foresight to think, well, what is the worst case scenario?
Ms. Wagner.
When you do apply for the switch or whatever, how long before you know if it goes through?
So again, I mentioned that waiver. So after tonight, then I will need a letter written with the mayor's signature on it, and law director will take care of that. That will go to the state. It can take up to a month for the to pass that. So you can see how we're already losing time. So I'm going to guess, probably before the end of May, I would hope.
Do we have enough money for the grass cutting program right now to get started, or
15 grand, right?
15 grand. Yeah, 15 grand to get some.
How long does that estimate? How long do you think that'll last?
That 15 grand should probably last you at least to the middle of May, not to the end of May, and then it'll take a little bit of time for the invoices to come in. So there's a little bit of lapse time here between finding out for sure from the state and when that work's actually done.
How many customers on the program this time around? 50 or 70?
We're still 72.
68.
So yeah, we'll know pretty quickly though. And like I said, we've been in contact with them. They're not throwing up big red flags at us saying that this is what, you have anything better, you have anything. They're not doing that. They're hearing what we have to say and understanding. They did remind Barb about the 50%. There's that.
3 mows a house. We get 3 mows a house out. Actually, 2.8 now. Use the curb to Billy. I know, I've put through
I'd like to make a motion. Move this to tonight's full council.
First and a second to move this to tonight's full council. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, this item has been moved.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item C, T7974, authorize economic incentive income tax sharing agreement with HIAB. Mr. Amalia.
Good evening. Hiab is the city's sixth largest manufacturing employer. We have an existing income tax sharing agreement with them. We started this conversation quite some time ago. The hope here is that we are freeing up additional manufacturing space for them to import a new line, as some of this is currently done overseas, and there's a strong business case for reshoring that given the current tariff environment.
Questions or discussion?
I'd like to make a motion, move this to next full council.
First and a second to move this item to tonight's full council. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, this item has been moved. Item D, T7975, authorize First Amendment to Layer 0 income tax sharing agreement. Mr. Amalia.
Good evening. The city also has an existing income tax sharing agreement with Layer 0. This amendment will allow Layer 0 to receive a portion of their taxes remitted to us from our old location at 555 Frost. They have taken over that and leased the facility for 88 months. That is going to serve as their, for lack of a better term, their C-suite offices. All the CEOs, the director of marketing, the director of HR, all of the bigwigs are going to now be over there. Once this expansion is complete of their facility at Phillip Parkway, they will become the city's largest employer with about 750 employees. One of the reasons that we're interested in this income tax sharing agreement amendment is that it contractually obligates Layer 0 to keep at least 535 jobs in the city until 2040, and that gives us some runway to weather unforeseen economic storms, but it'll give us something to make sure that we're having at least a couple of big-sized good employers around here in town.
Any questions or discussion?
If there's no further discussion, I'll make a motion to move this to tonight's full council.
Second.
First and a second to move this to tonight's full council. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, this item has been moved. Item E, T7976, terminate the community reinvestment area agreement with SRC Crispy Chicken Popeyes. Mr.
Well, Councilman Hannon earlier granted me the authority to give tax abatements to anyone I wanted. I would very much like to rescind this one for their inability to meet the very low bar of which they were asked to do. We provided an incentive to them largely because that part of 14 needed some love, and that was a long-standing blight to this community. We wanted something different. You know, that 35% was to kind of just get them over the hump. We did not ask them to do very much, but they were unable to meet even the very basic minimal job counts and payroll commitments that they had because they were so egregiously off on that. The CRA Tax Incentive Review Council asked to remove it. You guys concurred with that. However, we must now start the process of unwinding the contract that we entered into them with.
There's no further discussion. I'll make a motion to move this to tonight's full council.
Second.
First and a second to move this to tonight's full council. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, this item has been moved. Item F, T7978, approve residential CRA property tax exemption. Peter Hannon. Mr. Amalia.
Mr. Hannon of Root Drive was going to make a substantial addition to his house, about 600 square feet. The legislation that we authored when we initiated the CRA here in town did provide an automatic by right exemption for our residents. As long as you're making an addition to your house and you feel that it will increase your tax value, I can take a look at that and say, yeah, this is not really worth the paperwork, that the auditor's not going to come after you for a shed. 600 square feet, absolutely. So we're going to go ahead and give him the 100% 15-year tax abatement that the previous iterations of council that authored that legislation agreed to at that time. I ask for your approval on this, not because even though it is called for in the legislation, I would very much like to give something to the county auditor to make sure that this doesn't accidentally show up on the tax duplicate rolls. And I also want to make sure that Mr. Hannon has something for his own paperwork so that he can, in the event something were to happen, I know we're all worried about John leaving, but I could very well be on that plane to Tasmania. So we need something to, just for his paperwork, where he can say, hey, I was granted this abatement vis-a-vis formal action of the Streetsboro City Council.
I have a question. Well, actually, a typo.
Okay.
The name Hannon's all wrong in here.
I'll fix it. It's O-N.
Yeah.
Does anyone know the correct spelling?
I do.
Anyone? Just wrong on that one line?
No, it's,
that we're good.
It's
on
some
Comment
part.
on this legislation, Mr.
Okay, so we have the motion. Do we have a second?
do we have to amend?
Oh, I don't think so for typos, right, Mr. Grundy? Clerical's not a, okay. Okay. He's got the first.
Second.
First and a second to move this to tonight's full council. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, this item has been moved.
Thank you.
Caroline, I just want to, for the record, note that throughout this process, I'm going to abstain from voting on anything here since it is my brother.
Item 4, announcements.
That's not an emergency tonight anyway. Okay, good.
Okay, ready?
Oh, it's first read, yeah, so we're okay. We didn't need to.
Okay, item 4, announcements. A regular council meeting will immediately follow this meeting.
Somebody said about adding an executive session to finance, or are we doing it?
I misspoke.
Okay.
I thought it was on the finance, it's on the regular council.
Okay.
Sorry.
I'm not missing something.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
First and a second to adjourn. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, we are adjourned.
Break, yes.
Yeah, we're on recess. We'll be back in 5-10 minutes. I need a break.
Thank you so much. I did, and did Matt
Okay. I'd like to call this regular council meeting of Monday, April 13th, 2026 to order. Caroline, would you please call roll?
Mr. Mishniak?
Here.
Mr. Lampa?
Here.
Ms. Glenn?
Here.
Mr. Lombardo?
Here.
Ms. Wagner? Here. Mr. Ring? And Mr. Hannon?
Here. Make a
Right.
motion to excuse Mr. Ring.
Second.
Motion to excuse Mr. Ring in a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I'm hearing none. Mr. Ring is excused. Item 3, disposition of minutes. We have regular council meeting of December 29, 2025, regular council meeting of February 9, 2026, and regular council meeting of March 23rd, 2026.
Motion to accept is written.
Second.
Motion to accept it as written in a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I'm hearing none. Item 4, citizens' comments. Okay. No citizens' comments. Item 5, reports, communications from departments, boards, and commissions. We're going to get right to it with Chief Reinholz.
Thank you. Very busy couple of weeks. We're finishing up with our company inspections. That's when we send the ambulances and squads out to do inspections of mom and pop shops. Besides the Fire Prevention Bureau doing the bigger facilities. It's for familiarization and also catching minor fire violations that might put them out of business. A good nature story with 14 and 43 being all torn up. Some lady pulls in and she ran through there. I don't know what she ran over, but it's raining cats and dogs. And as she's driving, you can hear the undercarriage just scratching. So she pulls up to the fire station, and her husband wants her to get out of the car, crawl underneath, and take a picture in the rain of what's going on. So our guys, they're getting ready for the Daytona. And they, okay, come on in the fire station. They back up the rig. She pulls in, put her up on a jack, remove the guard, throw it in the trunk, and off she goes. So that was nice of the guys to do that.
What did she hit?
I don't know. She said she ran through a puddle. She found the bottom. So that was just a good nature story. We've been real busy with fires. We've had 2 industrial fires, one this morning, one in Aurora. We've had 2 house fires, one in Streetsboro and one in Kent. And then Captain Grimm's reality fire extinguisher setup worked. One of the local businesses, they had a grease fire, and it didn't melt the link. It's a fusible link that causes the extinguisher medium to come off. It didn't go off yet, but they got the extinguisher and they put out the fire, which is great. We still responded, but that's being proactive, and Captain Grimm and his staff going out there and fire extinguisher demos to the local businesses. That's a service we provide. And Bainbridge has a house they want to burn down. The homeowner wants to burn it down, so they've invited us to go train. So we've been going up there doing our SCBA mass training, and then we'll be going up later in the month for more training. And we're trying to fill the house up with some furniture. So thanks to Mr. Miller, he's let me know where I can garbage pick some mattresses. Any baby cribs, I'm looking for baby cribs, love seat and chairs to put in the room. It's not realistic searching an empty room. So we're trying to load it up with furniture. So we smoke it up so they can't see anything, and we practice different search techniques. And that's what we've been doing for the past 2 weeks.
All right, thank you, Chief. Chief Wayne, anything to report from police?
First, I want to say this week we recognize our telecommunicators, which are our dispatchers. So first, thank you to Jen for what you do. We couldn't do anything that we do without our dispatchers. And as you can imagine, with all the construction, they have been taking a load of grief from unhappy drivers. But they've been taking it in stride and just doing their thing. Second, you may have noticed a lot of flashing red and blues and all blues in the city this past week. I'm part of a distracted driving focus group that we meet down in Columbus. They're working on future legislation and training and education for drivers on the dangers of distracted driving. That being said, last week, ending today, was part of a 6-state trooper project that the Highway Patrol, they choose a topic, and that's what their high level of enforcement is. And I thought, what better time to bring in extra uniforms than when we're just starting out with this construction project. So we had any number of state troopers as well as our officers out designated doing distracted driving. And I won't have the total numbers till tomorrow, but I expect there was a pretty significant uptick. And I gotta say, of all the calls and Facebook messages and comments that we got, we didn't get any negative at all. Well, I take it back. We did get one complaint from one driver who was stopped for turning left on his way to court for his previous stop of doing 20 or 55 and a 25. So he's not too pleased with the department, but his driving could use a little bit of improvement. Also, K9 Titus, who is in training with Ryan Miller right now, has already passed his Ohio certifications. He's got this week and next week, so I hope to have him here on the 27th to do his official swearing in, so you guys will get to meet him then. And also, a little bit earlier tonight, I forwarded a solicitor's ordinance out to all of your emails. Just made a few minor tweaks to it. The tweaks are in red. Gives a little bit more teeth and a little bit more specifics on enforcement, and also some discretion on how permits are issued to people. Gives us a little more depth in what we can say no for. Previously, we had individuals that had warrants out for their arrest in other states, and our legislation didn't give us really a way to tell them no. So, yeah, we increased the level of offense just a little bit again, giving a little more teeth to it. I don't imagine, we don't typically get a ton of violations, but this does make it a little bit easier and give it a little bit more teeth if we need to enforce, rather than the minor misdemeanor, which nobody really cares about if they get one of those. So those are in your email. If you guys have any questions, please reach out. Like I said, all the changes are still in red, so you'll be able to see what specifically they are. It's not a lot, but I would like to try and get that through on the final council of this month, just because those permits are going to start rolling in now. The other part of what we'll roll into is having we have an opt-out that's currently on our website. What we're going to do is change that to have a deadline. I believe we're going to do 2 years. So if you opt out for 2 years and you want it to continue, you need to opt out again when it expires. That way we don't have people that are just staying on it for houses where maybe somebody's moved or somebody's changed apartments where they live at.
All right.
And I think that's all I got.
Thank you, Chief Wayne. Anything from IT, Mr. Kaufman?
Not this evening, thank you.
All right, thank you. Ms. Iger, Parks and Rec? Are the playgrounds holding up over there?
Thank you. Yes, we're doing okay. So this last Saturday, we had our kids' garage sale. It was our second one. We sold out vendor spaces, which were kids obviously coming and selling their own stuff. Feedback I got from parents was that they wish they would have left getting rid of more things and not their kids kind of wheeling and dealing and trading toys back and forth. But they were happy. So at the end of the day, that's all that matters, right? We also got some pretty good news coverage with it. A couple news channels picked it up and shared it, which was nice to see, just uniqueness of it. We're in full swing with spring projects. The restrooms are open now. The final paving for Miracle Lane is scheduled to happen this week. And, we're gearing up for summer camp, safety land, all that stuff will be here before we know it. So our new program guide with everything in it from now through August went out last Friday. That's about it.
All right, thank you. Mr. O'Malley, I know you have more to add this evening.
I do, but it'll be in a different portion of this meeting. Thank you.
All right. John, anything to add?
I simply wanted to give City Council a heads up that I will not be in attendance at the meeting on April 27th. I'll be out of state on vacation. John, you did mention that that Justin had a lot of sign code questions. I will do my best to reach out to him and get input from him, but if you could just mention, let him know that I will not be at the next council meeting where we'll have the sign code on for second reading. I will, as I said, touch base with him and try and answer his questions or get as many of his concerns addressed in advance of third reading. Just like to give council a heads up when I know I will not be here.
All right, thank you. Enjoy your vacation. You're welcome. Engineering, anything to add this evening?
Just only a couple quick items. I sent out an email to everyone. It was a little bit easier than trying to redo because of some of the major things that have occurred in the last couple weeks. Just giving updates on, for example, Page Road. I spoke to Portage County engineer and indicated that they actually got funding for it. And just like projects we've done, they can't start till July 1st. So it's going to be longer for which that project, which was going to already happen, but then when the embankment and everything else just failed. So they're going to try to do some things to see if they can have stuff ready and materials available so they can go out like gangbusters, beginning to mid-July once they get their OPWC agreement. And that's probably, they basically said that project will probably then go, they're probably 6 to 8 weeks. So expecting, now till middle, possibly end of August, for that road still to be closed. Oh, and I think, did I say Seasons Road? Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm getting, real quick, Page Road, we've sort of been going back and forth. Finally got some information from the Turnpike. They were supposed to start today. I don't know if they really did, but they have 3 or 4 weeks to repair the second hit that occurred that was outside the scope of work. That being said, so we're talking original scope 90 days plus 4 weeks. We're talking 120 days. That it's still going to be closed, counting today. So that's just, so it sounds like a lot of projects are basically going to be finishing up in August with most of these. 43 and 14, they've poured the curb, started doing stone work. They said most likely because of the weather that's occurring with possible rain, depending how heavy it is, they may be able to pour by the end of the week what's been excavated. If not, it'll be next week, and then they'll move on to phase 2 then that following weekend, and new change of traffic. So that's all I have.
All right, thank you for that. Mr. Bill Miller, anything from service?
Yeah, just to let you guys know that we're doing our final sweep of brush pickup. We did it for 3 weeks, but we're making the last sweep this week and we're done. So,
all right.
Let everybody know that.
Thank you. Mr. Matt Miller from Finance, you've been very quiet. Do you have anything to add this evening?
We are going to be bringing some discussions for our 5-year debt plan. We've got to make some decisions on council in regards to inside millage and some of the outstanding loans and bonds that we have. But we will get that all curated and summarized for you, and we'll make some decisions here coming up. And that's all.
All right, thank you. We are moving to 6, introduction of legislation containing statement of emergency. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to suspend the rules for T7968, 7969, 7970, 7972, 7973, 7974, 7975, 7976, and 7979.
Second.
Motion to suspend the rules in a second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Lampa?
Yes.
Ms. Glenn?
Yes.
Ms. Wagner?
Yes.
Mr. Bruton is not here. Mr. Mishniak?
Yes.
Mr. Hannon?
Yes.
Mr. Lombardo?
Yes. Rules have been suspended. All right. T7968, adopt city's emergency operation procedure plan. Caroline, please read by title.
An ordinance adopting an emergency operations plan for the city of Streetsboro and declaring an emergency in order to effectuate the plan.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Motion to adopt in a second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Lampa?
Yes.
Ms. Glenn?
Yes.
Ms. Wagner? Mr. Mishniak?
Yes.
Mr. Hannon?
Yes.
Mr. Lombardo?
Yes. T7968 passes and becomes 2026-51. T7969, purchase new FD command car. Caroline, please read by title.
An An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract without competitive bidding with Sarshone Ford of Alliance for the purchase of a 2026 Ford Expedition for use by the fire department in an amount not to exceed $55,589 and declaring an emergency in order to put the vehicle into service as soon as possible.
Motion to adopt.
Motion to adopt in a second. Roll call, please.
Ms. Glenn?
Yes.
Mr. Lampa?
Yes.
Mr. Mishniak?
Yes.
Mr. Hannon?
Yes.
Mrs. Wagner? Mr. Lombardo?
Yes. T7969 passes and becomes ordinance number 2026-52. T7970, sell unneeded 20, or I'm sorry, that was unneeded 2000 E1 fire engine to Brimfield Township. Caroline, please read by title.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract without competitive bidding with Brimfield Township for the sale of a 20,000 E1 fire engine in the amount of $30,000 and declaring an emergency in order to effectuate the sale.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Motion and a second to adopt. Roll call, please.
Mr. Lampa?
Yes.
Ms. Glenn?
Yes.
Mr. Mishniak?
Yes.
Mr. Hannon?
Yes.
Ms. Wagner? Mr. Lombardo?
Yes. T7970 passes and becomes ordinance number 2026-53. T7971. Oh, I'm sorry. That one has
It's gonna be
been.
first reader.
Yeah, that's first read. All right. T7972. Authorized contract with RPC for CDBG funds for 2027-2028.
Soup.
Caroline, please read by title.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with the Portage County Regional Planning Commission to administer the Community Development Block Grant funds for program year 2027 to 2028 and declaring an emergency to ensure that citizens can timely access new programs.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Motion to adopt in a second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Lampa?
Yes.
Ms. Glenn?
Yes.
Mr. Mishniak?
Yes.
Mr. Hannon?
Yes.
Ms. Wagner? Mr. Lombardo?
Yes. T7972 passes and becomes ordinance 2026-54. T7973, amend PY24 CDBG to reallocate funds from demolition program to senior disabled low moderate income grass cutting program. Caroline, please read by title.
An ordinance requesting an amended program year 24 CDBG allocation for the reallocation of funds from the Streetsboro demolition project to the senior disabled low to moderate income grass cutting program and declaring an emergency in order to expedite the reallocation.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Motion to adopt in a second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Mishniak?
Yes.
Mr. Lampa?
Yes.
Mr. Hannon?
Yes.
Ms. Wagner? Ms. Glenn?
Yes.
Mr. Lombardo?
Yes. T7973 passes and becomes ordinance number 2026-55. T7974, authorize economic incentive income tax sharing agreement with Hayab. Caroline, please read by title.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into an income tax sharing agreement with Hayab and declaring an emergency in order to effectuate the agreement.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Motion to adopt in a second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Lampa?
Yes.
Mr. Mishniak?
Yes.
Ms. Wagner? Ms. Glenn?
Yes.
Mr. Hannon?
Yes.
Mr. Lombardo?
Yes. T7974 passes and becomes ordinance number 2026-56. T7975, authorize First Amendment to Layer Zero income tax sharing agreement. Caroline, please read by title.
An ordinance amending ordinance number 2024-91, authorizing the mayor to enter into an economic incentive agreement between the city of Streetsboro and Layer Zero to create jobs and income tax revenue, and authorizing the mayor to sign the First Amendment to the Layer Zero income tax sharing agreement and declaring an emergency to expedite the amendment.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
We have a motion to adopt in a second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Mishniak?
Yes.
Mr. Lampa?
Yes.
Ms. Wagner?
Yes.
Ms. Glenn?
Yes.
Mr. Hannon?
Yes.
Mr. Lombardo?
Yes. T7975 passes and becomes ordinance number 2026-57. T7976, terminate the community reinvestment area agreement with SRC Crispy Chicken Popeyes. Caroline, please read by title.
An ordinance terminating the Community Reinvestment Area Agreement with SRC Holdings 8 LLC and SRC Crispy Chicken LLC and declaring an emergency in order to effectuate the termination.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Move to adopt in a second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Mishniak?
Yes.
Mr. Hannon?
Yes.
Ms. Glenn?
Yes.
Mr. Lampa?
Yes.
Ms. Wagner? Mr. Lombardo?
Yes. T7976 passes and becomes ordinance number 2026-58. T7979, Streetsboro Police Cruisers. Caroline, please read by title.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract or contracts without competitive bidding with Montrose Kingsville LLC, Hall Public Safety, and Graphic Expressions, Inc. for the purchase, upfitting, and vehicle graphics of not to exceed 3 new 2026 Dodge Durangos for use by the police department and declaring an emergency in order to accept time-sensitive proposals.
Move to adopt.
Move to adopt in a second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Mishniak?
Yes.
Mr. Lampa?
Yes.
Ms. Glenn?
Yes.
Mr. Hannon?
Yes.
Ms. Wagner? Mr. Lombardo?
Yes. T7979 pass becomes ordinance number 2026-59. First reading, T7977, sign code update. Caroline, please read by title.
977. This is an ordinance amending chapters 1152, 1153, 1159, 1163 of the codified ordinances of the city of Streetsboro relating to signs.
T7978, approve residential CRA property tax exemption. Peter Hannon. Caroline, please read by title.
8, an ordinance approving a real property tax exemption for Peter and Nicole Hannon relative to the property at 9278 Root Drive, Streetsboro, Ohio, permanent parcel number 0471000107000.
All right, T7971, update Evergreen Cemetery pricing. Caroline, please read by title.
An ordinance amending code section 945.01, establishing the charges for municipal cemetery lots and services and declaring an emergency to expedite rate adjustments.
Item 8, second reading, none. Item 9, third reading, there is none. We are at the mayor's report. Item 10. What you got, Mr. Mayor?
Please turn your mic on.
I handed you guys out a spreadsheet here, and I was pretty happy with what I saw. If you notice on the spreadsheet, the items in green were when we had intersections that were ranked in the AMAS area, top 50. If you notice, since 2021, we haven't had any marked in the top 50. Our worst individual intersection is Diagonal and
303.
Diagonal and 303. And we are looking at that. That is the project that we're working on right now to improve the safety of that intersection. That's why we got the funding for it. But if you notice, there's no more greens. We're over, our intersections are over the top 50. And at one time, we had up to 3 or 4 of them ranked in the top 50. The delineators and stuff that we put down by Walmart have served their purpose. The no left turn at Market Square into the Burger King Plaza and all those have served their purpose. And I'm very proud that the money that we've been spending on infrastructure is going a long way to make our roads safer. We're going to get through the Diagonal Road project here pretty soon, which brings me to my next thing. ODOT sold that bid, and when they got the bids back in, it came in $24,000 over the engineer's estimate. Brian and GPD are looking at why it was over the $24,000, but we got an email from them, and I have to give them approval on Wednesday or before Wednesday that we're going to pony up the other $24,000. I don't need legislation right now. I just need tacit approval from you guys that, yeah, we will, Matt says it's in the 401. It's not anything that we have to do anything with. and then we will not have to give them a check till later on this month. So I'd like council's approval to go ahead and tell them, hey, yeah, we'll pony up the extra money.
We don't really have a choice, right?
Huh?
So we don't really have a
Well, no, not considering we've already got, what, $711,000 in it, or something like that, or whatever it is. We have not been able to get the bid tabs yet to see where things came in over at.
voice vote.
I'll move to give tacit approval at this time until we get the final numbers into the mayor to represent that we'll honor that name.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to go with this amount to cover the cost. Roll call, please.
You could do all in favor.
Okay, Mr. Mishnak?
Yes.
And Mr. Hannon?
Yes.
And Ms. Wagner? Yes. Ms. Glenn?
Yes.
Mr. Lampa?
Yes.
Mr. Lombardo?
Yes. All right, there you go. I know I skipped Ms. Lockhart-Reese, I apologize. The time I skipped you, you had something to add?
We did send an offer out to a dispatcher, and she's gonna start on, and we're still working on the other one. We're very happy that we did find one, and of course, this is National Dispatchers Week. Thank you all so much. We really do appreciate it, and I'm sure that a lot of you saw that we actually had people calling 911 and was complaining about traffic, and I wish there would have been something we could do. The traffic at the square, the single biggest item that is causing problems is these people that still believe that they can turn left. And I don't know, I was going to get the count today, but I know that we have been out there, not as hot and heavy as we were Monday and Tuesday last week, but they have been out there, especially during the rush hours and stuff like that, and they're still pulling people over. I don't know what we have to do to get into people's head. That sign that has the circle and the slash through it and no left turn, that means you can't turn left there. But they insist on doing it. Like Brian said, hopefully they're going to get a pour on. Once they get the pour, you probably won't see anybody out there working for 3 days because they have to let the concrete set before they can do it. Once they get the concrete set, then they will move to the south half, and they will, do the same exact thing. You saw it's taken. We're beginning our third full week, and so they've actually done pretty good out there. So let's hope that they keep on progressing the way that they have. A lot of traffic on Russell, a lot of traffic on Mount Vernon, a lot of traffic on Superior, but they seem to have got the timing of the lights at Superior and at 14. They nailed those pretty good. There's not a long wait, and the traffic is moving. So let's just hope. I mean, that's all we can do.
What is the fine for turning left?
Huh?
What's the fine for turning left?
I don't know.
Ooh, man.
Can we raise it?
Is there 2 points on it too?
We had a $10 mowing fee.
Yeah.
Like the
mowing fund.
We could pay for the program with $10 a car, a mowing fee.
Oh my gosh. All right.
Yeah, and the big thing on it, I mean, in addition to the fine, is a 2-point violation. Because if they did it once, they're going to try and get away with it again, and they get up to 6 points, and they get a warning letter, and then they take their license away, all for being entitled.
And their insurance drops them.
So, okay, all right, that's all I have.
All right. President of Council's comments. One, I apologize again to Ms. Lockhart-Reese for missing you. I'm never going to do that again. I just had 2 quick things. They're going to be really quick, I promise. The garage sale was amazing, except for I have to go get a second job now because my kids wiped me out going through there. They wanted everything. Not good. It wasn't good morning for me. And one of the most important parts of this week is Communications Week. So if you know a dispatcher, please thank them. It's a very rough job. You don't know what it's like until you see them in action, so it's very tough. So happy Communications Week, and I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Mishak. I'm going to give him the rest of my time.
I don't have anything tonight. That's the John.
Thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to make note of a program that, so I work for the schools, and I also am on city council, so the schools kind of asked me to be a part of this program. It's called Neighborhood Bridges. I actually met with the mayor and the police chief today, so those are like the 2 drop-off locations for this. Just real quick, I'm going to explain it. Basically, in the simplest terms, it's for people that are not involved in the schools that want to donate items to kids that are less fortunate or in tough situations. So basically, they're doing a social media launch right now. I'm one of the area directors, not long-term. I'm just serving in that role until they find someone in the community to serve that. So if you know someone in the community that may want to be involved in that, please let me know. But the first thing is going to be launched on May 1st. And essentially, just to use an example, there's some homeless kids that attend Streetsboro schools. So a common need is like clothing, right, or food, or basic necessities to live life, right? So basically, you subscribe online. You get an email every day if you're a subscriber. And if Mike Lampa wants to go out and donate something, right? You select that need, you donate it to either the box here at City Hall or the one at the police station. I would get a notification, I go pick it up, and I deliver it to that kid or that family.
Does it have sizes and things like that?
Yeah, so like it would be like a 12-year-old boy size, whatever, youth large, whatever, and then you can go out, you can gently worn or like brand new stuff you can donate. It's a cool program. The guy who started the first one in Westerville, Ohio. It's in like 6 different states, a bunch of different communities now. It's a really cool program. Kent actually does it, so that's how Streetsboro learned about it. But they've donated like cars before, stuff like that. Like there's been all different, like it can be a pretty big thing. Now they wouldn't bring a car to City Hall with the bigger needs and stuff. They would coordinate that. Like if, say like someone wanted to donate a bed, right? They're not going to bring a bed into City Hall. They would coordinate that with the family. But it's a really cool program. A lot of, some of the concerns that some people, had were, we don't want it to just be like a donation bin where things build up. But so it's all automated process. I would get, like I said, I would get an email, or this other lady would get an email, and then like on our way into work, we pick it up, we take it to the school counselors, kind of coordinate it on the school side, and then we donate it. We give it to the family.
Who puts the need in, like their parent?
So the counselors at the school who work with the kids, that may be in need, they are the ones that post the needs. And then myself and this other lady approve of them. So like if, like Mike's question, what about sizes? So if I'm on there and I say, hey, well, why don't we get some sizes from these people? So we just kind of approve it. Once it's approved, it gets sent out to, say everyone in this room is a subscriber. And, Patrick wanted to donate something, right? He selects it, brings it into work, puts it there, and then I can pick it up and take it. So
Does the computer program prevent, like, it's one item, say it's one thing, and then Mike signs up, I sign up, Patrick signs up.
It
you
takes
don't
it
get
off
3 of them.
immediately.
It tells you that it's been filled, and he's.
Yeah, so it's a really cool program that's coming to Streetsboro. Hopefully, with the school, they keep it up over time. But yeah, really cool program that I think is going to help out a lot of people and just helps get people in the community involved. So
one more time, its name and how you sign up for people.
It's called Neighborhood Bridges, and you sign up. Well, you can look at their website, Neighborhood Bridges Streetsboro, or look them up on social media, Neighborhood Bridges Streetsboro. You can follow the page.
Sign up there.
Yeah, there's a link to the website, and it's pretty easy. I actually was like one of the first people. I just wanted to test it out to see how it's super easy. Put your email in, and then it goes on there. Very cool. If you can't figure it out, you can email me, and I can add you myself. Yeah, I just want to say thank you to the mayor and thank you to the police chief for coordinating that. They usually use places like, public places like this as their donation spots. That's all.
Thank you, Mr. Hannon. Ms. Wagner, what do you have for tonight?
Same. Happy Telecommunicators Week. It is a very, very tough job, and Streetsboro gets to work with me, even though they don't, because we're on the other end of their phones when people are shooting down 480 with their problems. And the other night, you had one of your dispatchers, and I worked with her for the phone. It ended up turning out really well. By Sunday, the pursuit that went down 480 at 100 and some miles per hour ended up very well. And she did well. We helped. We knew she was probably by herself. We were able to help make phone calls for her and work together. So we all work together, whether it's with Aurora, with Macedonia, Streetsboro, whoever. You all kind of work together in this whole mess of 911. So yes, so thank you to Streetsboro dispatchers. I appreciate that. And don't forget, on your way out, stop at my Jeep and grab some little gifts for their dispatchers, especially for dealing with all the issues they've been with the traffic these last couple of weeks. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for that. Mr. Lamb?
Nothing tonight. Thank you, John. No.
Ms. Glenn?
Nothing tonight.
All right. Item 13, motion to recess into executive session to consider an economic development opportunity. We need a roll call, please.
So moved.
Second.
Yes.
Mr. Hannon,
Yes.
Mr. Ring, whoops, Ms. Glenn,
Yes.
and Mr. Lampa.
Yes.
Ms. Wagner.
Yes.
Mr. Lombardo.
Yes. We are in executive session.
No, I mean, they can all leave.